This is the Mountainside Podcast, and returning to the studio once again is my good friend Eric Telly. He's a strength and conditioning coach at Landow Performance, working with some of the top athletes in the Mile High City and around the world. Eric is an absolute savage himself, scientific madman when it comes to physical fitness, strength, conditioning for specific sports or goals. But above all that, I've truly enjoyed the friendship that we've forged in here. Eric is an outstanding person that I enjoy spending time with. It was great to have him back once again, and I hope that you enjoy our conversation. All right? Great to see you, brother.
Great to have, dude. Great to be here for the third time.
That's crazy, right? We're coming up on 200 episodes, believe it or not.
Congratulations to you guys, man.
Dude, when I started this, I didn't even think about 200 episodes. It was just like, this is an idea that I want to do. And then all of a sudden, here we are.
Just see where it goes.
We've known each other for like going on 5 years now.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Yes.
Like I forged so many relationships in here. Maybe not at this particular table, but the one in the lobby. Between those two, it's like
still
I have probably, at least 100 new friends, which is crazy, right?
Dude, so I was thinking about this earlier, actually. Like when we first met, it was like you had reached out, hey, I forget who initially connected us, but it's like, hey, I was talking to so-and-so about you, and I'd love to have you come on. And I'm thinking, why would anybody want to talk to me? But, dude, from being on that episode and kind of looking back at the episodes and like the people that you've had sitting across from you, I'm like, dude, I'm in some pretty awesome company, man.
Oh man, it's shocking to me when I go back and like look at our guest list, because I don't really think about it that way. It's always just about like, who do I want to sit across from me? And it's never been, there was a short stint where I kind of got caught up in it because we got some notoriety like right out of the gate, thanks to a few guests that I've had on and like shared it, like Mark Montoya being one of those. Like I attribute, this is his problem, dude. Because I had him in on like the 4th episode, and he turned around. We talked about all kinds of different people and, high level performers, whether it was Cameron Haynes or former Denver Broncos or whatever. So I didn't even really know how Instagram worked. Like I had a personal page at the time.
Right.
But Mark and his team, his family or whatever knows how that works, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the moment that they made the post, they tagged so many people in that thing, whoever we talked about. And then they turned around and shared it, and it just turned into this snowball. And I was like, all right, here we go. Like it's put up or shut up, right? And literally in the podcast game. So then I got sponsorship right away, which was fucking amazing. Like I can attribute that to Mark. It's like kept this going. And really it was just him saying yes and us sitting down having a 2-hour conversation and then posting it to the world.
That's it.
That was it. So I was like, this is pretty cool. I can get on board with this. But then as soon as sponsorship came in, they all want to like send their own people. Right. Gotcha. And I got burned.
Insert their agenda.
Yeah. I got burned on that a couple times. And then some of the political stuff that I was trying to do at the beginning, I got burned on a couple times. And I was just like, okay, I got to dial it back now. And it's only people, I don't care what their following is, who they've, I guess I vet people, like I think I've reached out to you a couple times, like, hey, is this person a good dude before I've had him on? And
for sure.
Yeah. And that sort of thing. And just cause I never want to get burned that way. But yeah, it was just really, it doesn't matter what anybody's following is. And I have like recently I've had a lot of people reach out that want to come on, and I've only brought on like 1 or 2% of those people that literally reach out. It's crazy.
Sounds like a good problem to have, though, right?
It is.
Because it creates a potential guest list, but then it's your podcast.
Yeah, but it's like the badass people. Like I always want a savage sitting across from me. That's like kind of the motto.
I got to go home then.
Like somebody more badass than I am. No, you fit that, dude. Like you're very humble on what you do and the monsters that you create. You're a fucking mad scientist, bro. Like
I'm
really.
Something.
Yeah. I mean, you've even created a little specimen of an athlete in my son, just working with him, the little bit that you have. And like, I know it's not all you, but all that stuff adds up, right? And that's kind of the game when it comes to strength and conditioning or sports specific S&C, I think, is just all the little things, right, that add up to the big picture.
I've learned to boil it down in a sentence. For right now, this will probably change knowing me, but at the end of the day, it's all about maximizing human performance, right? As coaches, we see potential. So how do we draw that potential out to actually maximize performance? And it's not my job to generate outcomes in sport, right? I'm not there to, show a fighter how to throw something or execute this plan or that plan. Teach a wide receiver how to catch a football and, read X's and O's. That's not my job whatsoever. My job as a sports performance coach is to actually take an athlete and build up on the qualities that they already have, right? Their strength, their speed, their power, their, increased range of motion, mobility, improve on energy system development, what we classically know as conditioning. All of these things, how can we build these things up over time in an appropriate fashion so by the time they hit certain benchmarks in chronological age and through high school and college and so on and so forth, how can we maximize where they're at that time to put them in a position to excel, not just succeed, but truly excel in whatever it is that they're trying to do, right? That's my job. My job is to build a better athlete and maximize human performance. So even like your son, like, dude, he's such a great kid to work with. Like, he comes in, he's got his, when he was coming in, which he's probably freaking taller than me now at this point. But
he's grown a lot, man.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah. But he came in curious, ready to do the work, right? And I needed to make sure that he was going to have fun, right?
Yeah.
As long as we hit those marks, he left ready to come back. So I say that to say, I talk about this a lot these days. The 3 things that I'm looking for when somebody comes in, whether they're brand new or they've been in for years. There's 3 things that I need as a coach right now. I need you to work hard. I need you to have fun. And I need you to give me feedback. So the work hard piece, that's on the athlete, right? I can push and I can challenge and I can nudge, but at the end of the day, I need them to produce. The have fun part's on me, I believe, right? Because I don't want to just be a drill instructor or some pain in the ass coach that just, 1,000 burpees because I said so, like beating my chest bullshit.
That was me, dude. I said run harder.
But I want to be able to provide an environment where they're truly having fun in the difficult thing that I'm asking them to do at the same time, right? And if they can give me feedback, whatever that is, why are we doing this? Why this set rep scheme? Why am I resting this long? Or how come I don't get more rest? Or whatever the case may be. If they're curious, ask the question. If something feels off, you need to say something. So I need that feedback. Work hard, have fun, give me feedback. And if I can do those 3 things consistently, then I can help move that needle to that net positive direction that I'm looking for them. Right?
Absolutely.
It's not about me.
Well, I've experienced it firsthand. Like Tyler is just it's intimidating going into a new situation, anything,
For
right?
sure.
Like, especially walking into Landow and you start seeing McCaffrey's jerseys up there and, just all the incredible athletes that have performed or got performance enhancing skills, not drugs, skills. There is it's impressive in its own right. And then on top of that, you're sitting at the front door waiting for you to finish with your prior athlete. Cause I'm of the mindset of like 15 minutes early is on time.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then you get somebody like Cody Garbrandt walks through the door or, God, there's so many, Patrick Surtain. Why you're working on football skills is on the same field that you're on. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing is it's almost fuel in itself. I think you and I have talked about this before.
Yeah.
Just being around somebody of that stature, that performance level, and you see that, fuck, I'm in the same spot as working out as this guy. It's like a level of confidence that was great for him. But then also you as a coach working with Tyler, because he is kind of that shy mindset, and you ask him like, are you having fun? And if he goes, he doesn't know what to say.
Right.
And you just like laying it down for him. All I'm looking for is a yes or no answer. Like, just give me a yes, I'm having fun, or no, I'm not. And just like those sort of things, you know, like I think that's huge, to the point where we had to rehearse a little bit, you know, like the next time we go down there, it's like, all right, I'm gonna hit you with some questions, Tyler. You know what I mean? Like, but that just that confidence level, to the point this season, and I've kind of told you about it. He walked into a gym to try out against like 300 and I think it was 300 plus kids.
Jeez.
They're filling basically 3 teams in AYL.
Okay.
But you know, they have different, it's like a varsity, junior varsity type mentality, and then a C team or an A, B, C. They do it by color. And the coach just told me straight out, like the coach called me and was like, hey, we have a mutual friend. They told me Tyler's an athlete. This would be a really good experience for him to come down and try out. I'm telling you right now, he told me over the phone, like was just very blunt and honest, which I really appreciate. He was like, he's not going to make the team, but I think it would be a good experience for him to try out, and maybe he'll make the C or the B team, right?
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, we'll give it a try, you know, like to walk into a gym of 350 kids, and next thing you know, he made the A team. So it's like, well, wait a minute. What did we sign up for now? You know, like, and it was crazy, and just the level of commitment and that sort of thing. But I don't think he would have had that same confidence walking off the football fields up here with me as his coach and that sort of thing, unless we worked on it outside of normal football stuff and me bringing him to you. So I appreciate it, man. Like, you're a badass coach. So
I try.
I attribute it,
I try.
you know, a big portion of that to you too. Like, super rad.
A couple things. One, congrats to Tyler.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when it comes to a tryout, he's the guy. He's the guy in the line. So, you know, it's that put up or shut up you were talking about earlier.
Right.
So, all right, dude, show me what you got. So good on him to show up and perform. But even though he's a shy kid when he was first coming in, like, I'm an introvert, right? I have to really pull it out of myself when I'm in the gym setting. Like, I'm okay in an environment where I can just blend in, right? But in that environment, like, I got to get out of my shell. So I try to get that out of these shy athletes, because there's something in there that there's just something. I'm like, there's something about this kid, or there's something about this person. There's something about this athlete that it's in there, and I'm going to find it. And when I find it, I'm going to tease it out of them, but I'm just going to do it over time. Right. And watch them progress and just get comfortable in their own shoes, because with confidence, it's built slowly over time, right? It's these micro progressions of success. And before you know it, you look back and you're like, man, when I first got here, I could barely fill in the blank. And now he's trying out for a team that, hey, Dad, just want to give you a heads up, probably not going to make it, but the exposure would be good for him. So it'd be nice to just come out and see how this is run. And now he's on the 18.
Yeah.
So, dude, hats off to him. Thank you for bringing him in.
Yeah, man. Thanks for making the time for us. I know how busy your schedule is and everything too, so it doesn't go unnoticed, dude. Like, it's rad.
Yeah, my schedule's going to be busy till forever.
Yeah.
So, but it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way.
And while we're talking about it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
So, it's a little dirty. There we go. So you gave me this as a thank you for bringing Tyler down, right? So I've only given out.
Have you killed anybody with
I cannot confirm nor deny.
That's the problem when I get a half face as a gift. I'm like, no, it's bad to say, but it's like.
But dude, like, I've been eyeballing this for the longest time, because we both know Andy, and but dude, when you walked in, I with this, I didn't know what to say. I was like, I don't deserve that.
Eric, can I see that?
Yeah, brother.
I truly believe, like, that's how I support Beto, because I'm not a good gift giver. Like, ask my wife, dude. Yeah. Like, I'm horrible at it.
I'm horrible at giving gifts.
If it involves testosterone-filled males, I know, like, that's the best gift that I could ever receive, is a blade or some sort of, like,
weapon of some sort. Hell yeah.
And then an everyday carry, too. So I was like, I got to get this for.
So
I was hoping you didn't have one already. It's like,
no, I didn't.
But
No, I have my.
I would take 2 of those, dude.
I have my
would,
small collection
Yeah.
of half aces, but that one in particular, like that's my go-to when I go out. Right,
Yeah.
my everyday carry when I'm at work.
I'm always worried about
and I'm just
losing
like,
them.
I have a what is it? I got a Benchmade folder.
Yeah.
It's just like my utility knife and open boxes and prying
I have
something.
one of their little bug out blades. I love that thing because it's so thin and like,
Yep.
it's just easy to carry.
Like that thing it's super dull at this point because I use it for all sorts of stuff.
Right.
But then when I change out of like my work clothes and I'm dressed like this, I reach for that folder every
Hell
single
yeah.
time.
That's awesome,
Without
man.
fail. And every time I grab it, I'm like, Bobby.
Well, that's why I bought it, man. I was like, I just know the level of joy that a half face brings me. So I'm sure, and the cult following, the proof is in the pudding. Just go look at Beto's website and try to get a knife.
Yeah, good
You
luck.
know, like we're so fortunate that we know him as a friend too. Like he was just on the podcast. I don't know if you caught that.
I did.
Yeah, it was
That was
awesome.
right before Chris's fight.
Yeah, it was like the day before. It was awesome. So it was great to have him up here. The previous 2 that we recorded with him were at Half Face, which is awesome.
remember
But
that.
like to have him on my turf was awesome. It was cool that he made the time to come up and hang out. So yeah, man, those those are the best gifts you can give to anybody.
Dude, this is next.
How many have I given you now, Jeremy? Because Jeremy's helped me since day 1 of the podcast and has never asked for anything in return other than to move a bar out of his restaurant or something. Like at one point, like I think I've helped you move some shit because I got a truck. Like, yeah. But this guy is just like so selfless, man. Like one of the best friends that you can have. So like, all right,
Jeremy, you're the man, dude.
Three of them you got me.
Okay. So yeah, if I can't pay him, I'm gonna buy him that and half face blades. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude. That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, you're the man, and I caught your episode, by the way,
Oh,
which I'm a big fan of that episode.
me right on my
Hell yeah.
Check this out. My father-in-law just built this for me.
Oh no shit.
That it's a little bit more raw than
Nothing wrong with that.
but no, it's awesome.
Ooh.
Is that spring assisted?
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah, it
maker?
is.
So we can give him a shout out.
It's Ed's Cab Knives, he's in Pennsylvania.
Ed's Cab Knives. Is
yeah.
that what you said? Okay, cool. Pull up his website. Does he have a website or is it like
I
that
think
grassroots?
He's got I think he's got an Instagram.
I think the first blade that I actually ordered from Beto was a gift before I bought myself one. Although I'd met him prior to that. So it was like through Facebook Messenger. Like so grassroots is how he started. That's cool, man. It's a nice little blade.
Yeah, dude, that thing's it's gonna get me in trouble. I almost caught myself a couple of times.
Here you go, buddy.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. That thing's rad though.
Yeah, man,
I've been eyeing one of those up. And then
That's the
I got
Sposh,
this-
right?
yeah,
Or something?
Spose?
Yeah.
the subhuman piece of shit, right?
Subhuman piece of shit,
Yeah.
man.
It's the best.
Dude, that little
Yeah, I've
ring,
never
that
owned one of
retention
those.
ring.
That's awesome.
That's like a Mercedes. That thing is very smooth. And then Jeremiah had one of those. That's what he carries.
Oh, yeah. Jeremiah's got.
Remember, he was showing how to hold a pistol while having the.
Oh, right. That's what it's
Wow.
designed around, I think.
The retention ring?
Yes, so you can hold a pistol and a knife at the same time. Because God knows we all need that, right?
We've all been there.
Yeah. Oh, those are sweet,
Nice,
man.
dude.
Yeah,
Look
he
at
does
that.
Those are
all kinds
cool.
of stuff, man.
Yeah.
I think he got.
Is this his
another
Instagram page or?
one. Yeah,
Yeah, give him a follow, dude.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
That's
he's
cool.
Good. He's a good dude.
Right on. Yeah, man. Beto's an interesting. He's just a one of a kind, man. There's nobody like him, and he's another person that's like just so great. He's been so gracious with me and just time and
Dude, he's
just a
gracious
fucking-
with everybody.
Yeah,
He's just one-off human being.
yeah,
One-off. There's
Incredible.
no other way to describe him.
yeah. And then an artist, man. Like what he's created. You know, I know it's multiple artists. It's not just him now, but just it's like true art, man. Like I call it blade porn.
That's
Like every Saturday.
There, you're right there. Look at that. That was an hour
Yeah.
ago.
So that was today's drop.
Look at that
Look at
right
that
there.
Damascus.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I mean, they just get the level of, of it just gets higher and higher quality, and just it's incredible.
So watch, check this out. Jeremy, take a look at that blade.
Oh, what, dude? Let's go, dude. This is awesome. Is that a half face?
I'm working on getting a half face for everybody in the house.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got that for my wife as a wedding anniversary.
I got to
gift.
see that. Yeah.
Dude, that is sick.
Is that your everyday carry?
I put it in my purse,
Yeah, that's awesome. There's no better gift. I'm telling you.
So if you look at on the screen,
It's
that
like
third one down,
the bowling ball that Homer bought for Marge. Right? Oh, it even
Thanks a
says
lot.
Homer on it. Yeah, that way you know who it came from.
dude, take a look at that.
Oh, that is awesome.
So just something simple.
I love the rock work too. It's so cool.
So that, like, I think they call it like Tiffany blue,
Uh-huh.
the G10. And when I saw it, like, my wife loves turquoise, right?
Okay.
And I'm looking at like something like that with the turquoise piece. Like, that's beautiful craftsmanship right there.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what can I do for our anniversary? Like, who gives their wife
I would.
a knife on their? That would
That's
be
a
me.
good
That
anniversary
would be
gift
me.
too. Yeah.
So
That's
I was
awesome.
like, well, I've never
That's a
been.
sweet little
I've never been to
blade.
Tiffany's, but here's a Tiffany blue
Yeah.
handled blade.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
Just the level of craftsmanship that's there. It was cool when I first my first personal blade. I was telling Beto, I was like, it would look awesome if it looked like it had blood on the handle. Is what I wanted, just to get even more barbaric.
holy smokes.
So he made like a red rosin and burlwood mix. It is so badass, man.
No kidding.
Yeah, I'll have to show you.
Do you remember what style of blade it is?
It's a Crow Junior. Was my very first.
Nice. So it's funny you say that, because when I was introduced to Beto initially, I reached out. My buddy John, damn,
The chef knives are the shit too, dude. Those are all. I got one of those too.
just
How wild is that the French Laundry has all? They're all outfitted with his cutlery.
it makes sense, dude.
It was
if you're
Barry's
gonna go
Prime
with-
too
yeah.
in Vegas, I think.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna go with high end, like, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. But when I had reached out,
Oh, dude, those are all right. Those
was
are
that-
Here's a
Is
little
that the
Crow Junior. Yeah.
yeah.
This is actually my hunt blade.
So my Crow Junior that I got, that's my first blade. I reached out. My buddy John had connected me to Andy, and he was like, "Hey, reach out, let him know that you're my buddy." Because I'll get into the backstory, but I asked Andy, I was like, "Hey, what's a blade that you just like to carry, like just to have just a good standard knife?" And he goes, "Crow Junior," and I was like, "Perfect." So when he had a drop, it's the first thing I reached for, and dude, so my Crow Junior, that's the one where, like, if I go to a nice steakhouse, I'll sit down and they have their knives on the table.
Get this out of here, please.
Dude, I literally move it
Yeah.
to the side and I pull mine out like freaking Crocodile Dundee.
There's a ton
That's
of
not
guys
a
that
knife.
do that. Yeah.
And I just plop mine on the table. And I've had a waitress, she was like, "Did you bring your own knife from home for this steak?" And I was like, "Yes, I did."
Yeah.
And I handed it to her and she was like, "Yeah, that's way better than what we have."
Get your Outback steak knife out of here.
So I take my Crow Junior.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get anything for myself. I just don't. But when
kinda
I
the same
do,
way. Yeah.
I'm like I'm gonna shop half face.
Like, honestly, I can't resist sometimes. I'm like, I see something on the website, like I can't go to the website. But, you know, the best part about it is I'm supporting a friend. I believe, you know, that's like my justification. Like, he needs any more support right now. But when I first started,
Poor
that
guy's
was
struggling.
Yeah. When it first started, but then there was a almost like a fear grabbing moment that came in. I was like, fuck, I don't know how long he's going to do this. So my first Crow Junior was right after, I think I tried to get in on the Series 1, but they were spoken for.
Okay.
So then it was like shortly after that. Like, it came from his backyard.
Oh,
It's pretty
geez.
dope, yeah.
So like day one stuff.
Yeah. So my very first one. And it was cool when he came in. I never leave this stuff in here, but I had laid out everything that he made me over time or that I've purchased or whatever. or the guys at Half Face right up to this, because this is this year's purchase.
Nice.
I always give these away, but like this one's been put to work. Like that's kind of like the cool thing about a blade is it has history, man. Like I'm a big firm believer in history. Like I don't know that I'll ever get rid of this table. That's why I haven't gotten rid of that stupid one out there. It's like it's got some history, dude. Like I spent hours at this table having badass conversations and that sort of thing. So I'm like kind of connected
Sentimental value.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's cool when you can look back at like a blade and be like, oh, I remember when I did that with this blade specifically. And I've only owned this for a year, you know?
Oh, I get it. Because mine, like to me, they're heirloom pieces. Like even this, right? I'm going to take good care of this. I'm going to get it cleaned up and sharpened as I need to. And then my son, at some point, like this will be in his pocket. You know what I mean?
100%.
And like this, I would love to see those types of things just passed down over time. Right.
Yeah.
That's just me, man.
That's me too. It's already like, that's the purpose. Like all my half faces, besides my utilitarian ones, because that first one, I skinned and field dressed and boned out probably 3 or 4 elk with it, and I don't even know how many muleys. So like it's got its blood, you
Nice.
know.
It's got some miles.
Yeah, but I was always nervous about losing it, so I've replaced it, especially now because it's got, you know, these are so machined. He's perfected his craft so much now.
Yes.
Like my very first one, I think you were here, Jeremy, for that, right? Like you saw, like you can see where like the grind at the end doesn't come to like a perfect, you know, there's little imperfections in it, which is cool to me. But yeah, I don't know, just the history behind it, you know, and to pass it down is so cool. And when we went and did the 100th episode, we did a blade giveaway for the 100th, which was cool. We gave away a Crow Jr. actually.
Sweet.
That was Thanksgiving at my house.
Nice, dude.
I carved up the turkey with it.
Dude. All right. Let's go down.
Yeah.
Let's share some
This
photos.
will all be about half face blade. This is the half face blades episode. Let's go, dude. There's nothing more I love talking about too. Honestly. So badass. Yeah, I definitely, like, my son knows already. Well, you know Tyler. He's already got dibs. And so he also helped pick that blade out for you specifically. I was like,
Thank
what
you,
should we get
Tyler.
at Eric? Yeah. He's like, this one's cool.
Dude.
Maybe it was because of those purple lights behind it and stuff. And they're like, and luckily we got one, dude. Do they even sell those anymore?
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you how I know.
I'll show you this
I was
photo
on the
real
website
quick.
looking at it.
Yeah.
I was like, I want one of these.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 half face pieces
Yeah.
just in that photo that I have.
Yep.
And that's not even all of them. There's a couple more.
Is that a magnetic board or?
Yes.
That's cool, man.
So I'll send you the link to the guy that makes these boards.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, my knives are out, and then the pieces that I need, that, like, I have a tomahawk, right? That thing's not out on display.
Yeah.
Like that's
Mine too.
yep.
So, hey, go to our Instagram page real quick, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I just want to show Eric the tomahawk that Beto made me. I think you got to go to the reels. Because I like it so much I don't even post photos of it, but I did use it in one of the reels. Get down to Beto. Man, we've done not many since he's been in.
That one?
Yeah, it might be this one. Yeah, right there. If you can pause it somehow.
Nope.
So Beto's actually holding that tomahawk.
Dude.
But look at this fucking thing, dude. So this is what I was talking about with the blood on the handle when it comes back around.
Jeez.
Yeah, look at that, Eric. Isn't that cool?
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah. It's like one of my favorite things, but that's what Tyler's got dibs on
Nice.
already. Can't wait for me to die, dude.
Shotgun rules apply.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Yeah, the best crafted blades you could, out there by far, in my opinion, just for the connection, the friendship, the utility. Like I put them all to work too. Like that's my thing. The tomahawk, never, but
No.
I can't go chop wood with that thing.
No.
And I hope I never have to put it to work the way that I really want to put it to work. You know what I mean?
Right. I get you.
Dude, it was crazy. We just had Graham Dunn in. Crazy. Somebody that reached out to me. He's a 1%
Okay.
of the guys that I said yes to. Like 27 years in law enforcement, former Marine,
Nice.
but 8 years of SWAT, was like a sergeant. Like he just wrote a book called The Jagged Blue Line, and I encourage anybody to go out and read it. To support him and back the blue, right? Because he's trying a new endeavor. And he has like a tactical company now. Look up his tactical company. I think it's Ragnar. We just posted about it.
I was gonna say, he was just in, right?
Yes, dude.
I haven't got to that one yet.
Yeah. But he in this book, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, go buy the book or listen to the book. It's on Audible. He reads the book on Audible too. He's got a story in there where one of his officers got hit with a tomahawk. It is wild, dude.
Jeez.
I can't imagine.
Yikes.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah. Hopefully it wasn't a half face, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, it's pretty wild. But yeah, he's a savage of a human, man. Super grateful, you know, just like another one of the bros, you know, like,
Yep.
And he's local. So you're big into firearms training, aren't you? And like, are you still shooting quite a bit? And
No, not
Yeah.
as much as I should.
yeah, I know. That's one thing I need to sharpen my skills on. I have a lot of things I need to sharpen my skills on, right? But it's like high on the list.
Yeah, me too, man. I love to shoot my pistol. You know, I'm trying to figure out the whole rifle game. Over the summer, like I was getting out with the bow that
Yeah.
you've lent me.
How's that going? Dude, we still need to go
It's,
shoot.
it's collecting dust at the moment because, like right now, the schedule's just crazy.
Yeah.
I'm
I know how it
I'm
gets.
always going to say that, right? The schedule.
I mean,
schedule.
to be blatantly honest with you, mine is collecting dust right now too. I got serious shoulder problems that I'm trying. Like my goal is to be 100% before next archery season. And if I'm not, I'm going to be in a really bad mood. I might shut down the podcast. I might go live in a closet or on the side of a mountain if I can't shoot my bow.
Let me help you with that.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
We'll get that squared away.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But I live really close to the Aurora Reservoir.
Yeah.
So out east where I'm at, I got a tag for the vehicle. Any veteran that's listening to this, if you're you have a service connected veterans ID, they know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If you have one of those and you're in that area and you like to go to the lake and, you know, shoot your bow, go up to that window, show them that service connected ID. You will get a pass for that park, just for that city park, because it's not a state park somehow, but you can get a pass for free.
They have an archery range there?
They do have an archery
That's
range,
awesome.
there, outdoor archery range. So I would take my son and we would just go shoot, just go out, have fun. And then when we were done, we would just call it and go home.
That's
And it's
awesome.
Minutes away. So
That's super cool. I know that there's a 3D course too. Do you know, is it Luke Patron? Why am I drawing a blank on that? He runs Rocky Mountain Strength and Conditioning. It's like a,
I know
Yeah.
of the facility, but I don't know him personally. No.
Anyways, he goes out and shoots and does like some classes out there for backcountry hunting, strength and conditioning. But there's a 3D course out there. We should go shoot it with him.
Dude,
cool
let's
guy.
go shoot.
Yeah.
Dude, we're supposed to go to American Bowman.
Yeah, that's where we need to go. Let's go. Let's go right. Let's end this thing right now.
Peace.
You got your bow with you? Okay. Mine sits actually right here. I'll show it to you when.
No shit.
Yeah, because I don't think we've shot together, right?
We have
Or,
not.
No,
Not
that's
yet.
not true.
No, the
We
first
did
time.
shoot.
Yes.
Yeah, when we got you set up, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But that's the only time. And that's a different environment in there, man. There's just very crowded.
And that was with Ed.
Yeah, Ed's awesome. We had Ed on the podcast too.
Dude, I listened to that one.
Yeah,
He's
Ed's-
such a good dude.
He's an awesome guy, dude.
Yeah.
Like incredible. That's the best thing about this podcast, man. It's just like there's so many people that are just savages in their own right, you know? It's so cool.
Craftsmen, technicians, tacticians.
Yeah.
Like-
I mean, even I mean, you don't, to me, to be a savage, it's not always physical.
No.
Right? I mean, that helps.
It does.
Yeah. But I definitely I think anybody can prove in that, no matter what their level is, right? Like, I think there's not very many people that are like, yeah, I'm savage enough to just be all right. Like Graham was talking about that.
There's no such thing as a mediocre savage.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're lying to yourself at that point. But yeah, we should get out and shoot, man.
We need to.
It's so much fun. Do you enjoy it? I mean,
do.
I'm a fanatic about it, right? Like I wonder if my passion carries. I know it does carry over to some people, but like sometimes I talk about it ad nauseum on here. And the funny thing is I'm not trying to be a professional like in that space. There are guys that are literally trying to do that as a career, and that's like a whole nother ball of wax, right? It's like it's almost kind of like trying to be, no disrespect to them either, anybody that's trying to do that. I get why you're doing it, and I'm supportive of it, and I have plenty of friends, and we've had plenty of guys on the podcast, but it's just another level of patience, or it's almost like trying, I think it's harder than becoming a movie star, man. To have the success that you need to have and be the person you need to be to do that, man, my hat goes off to you, bro. Like,
it's interesting you bring up the whole patience piece, because that's something that I am awful at. Like, I have no patience. It's not my forte. My tolerance level for patience is 0.
yeah.
So being forced into that position where you have to work through the pole, and you have to line up your sights, and you got to look through the
peep.
There
Yeah.
you go. Thank you. I'm such a white belt at archery, but it's just such a methodical thing. Like, you got to just run down your checklist and get everything just right. And it's not just, hey, rip it and let her go, like let her fly.
Yeah.
That's so half-assed and
Oh,
haphazard.
you can get as nerdy as you want with
Right.
it. I mean, look at guys like John Dudley. Have you ever seen him like break down archery? It's insane.
Yes.
Insane. Like, he is a straight archery nerd.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
But it's nice to have those nerds out there, because you get to learn so
100%.
much.
Yeah.
Right?
I've picked up so much stuff from him. You know, it goes right back to like that YouTube university. How do I fix my truck? Or like, we're so fortunate that we live in that age, man.
Seriously. There's a lot of information out there that can really be utilized. I don't know how to. Well, no, you just don't know how to yet. If you find the right place to go educate yourself and truly learn, not just learn enough to be a hazard, a liability.
There's a lot of bad stuff out there though too, in its own right. So you got to be careful where you're getting information from. Right?
So this is the nice thing, right? When
Right.
you get to know people like this, then I've been steered in directions because of you and because of guys like Mark. And it's like, hey, go look this up, go look that up, watch this podcast, pull this up.
Yeah.
You get to the meat and potatoes of it faster, and you don't have to wade through all the bullshit because somebody else has already done that. Right? So for me, and I'm sure this is for a lot of people too, you almost get the express lane experience of how you can get to that faster. Now, archery's a skill, so I'm not going to be able to rush the process on that, but I can bypass a lot of the bullshit and just get right, again, to the meat and potatoes of it, so I can learn what I need to learn and get those repetitions down the way that it's supposed to be done.
It's so
faster.
key, man. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be the hunter that I am if it wasn't for family members showing me how. Like, this is how you stalk. This is important. This is like so it's not only my experience of boots on the ground, it's 30 years prior to me from that. And it goes generations like beyond that, right? Because the guys that showed me learned from their dads and like that sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's like how many years of knowledge and evolution and just like, it's crazy when you really think about it.
That's just it. It's transfer of knowledge, but before the internet and all these videos and YouTube and stuff
you
like
had
that,
to have
you
it
had to
first.
know somebody who knew somebody, then you had to get in front of them and spend time. There's information on, the internet that I've learned, like the chances of me sitting down and talking to somebody like Jordan Peterson,
Right.
snowball's chance in hell, which is
Right.
fine.
But
You
to
never
sit
know.
in and listen to one of his conversations,
Right.
so
and what
badass.
you can take from that, or when you listen to I listen to this podcast. I listen to Rogan's podcast selectively based on who's on there. I listen to the Huberman Lab podcast based
I
on
love
the
that
topic.
one. Yeah.
And I listen
If
to
you're not
Sean Ryan.
subscribed to Huberman Labs, you absolutely should be, especially if you care about your body.
Seriously, the information, again, the transfer of knowledge that you're going to get, and you might not understand some of the stuff that's on there. That, like, I don't understand everything he's talking about, but that's okay because I can go research it and find it and look for more information and answer the questions that I have for myself without needing to sit across from him specifically. But the way that he breaks it down, like layer by layer by layer, I love that kind of stuff because I get to geek out on that. Like, that's how I kind of operate with strength conditioning. Like, my wheels are constantly spinning and I want to try something new and I want to use this device or use that technique or, I just ask why a lot. Like, why do this move? Where does this fit? With whom? When is this important? Is there something here or is this just freaking fool's gold, right? Like,
It's just kind of that constant, like, always be a student,
yes.
no matter who's in front of you, right? Like, that mentality is, I think, so important. I guess that's kind of the approach that I've taken with this. And even, unfortunately, this right here has ruined podcasting, like listening to a podcast. And it's the same with, like,
How so?
and not in a bad way. Like, I'm still getting that human connection, that human experience, but it's the same when I go to take in a concert because I've spent so many years in that industry. I'll find myself, instead of watching the performer on stage, looking up in the rig to see where the chains are rigged and what the bridle connection is to, like, fucking nerd shit, dude. Because there's some serious math that's involved with that, like, you do math wrong in that industry, like, people could die, like, literally. Like, so you have, like, buffers, and I mean, I'm making it sound much more scientific than it actually is, but it's some common, trigonometry and calculus and fucking all kinds of different stuff that goes into, like, load bearing things that then you have to talk to a building engineer and to see if you can actually hang that much weight on a beam, and you're pushing everything to the limits because these performers want the fucking moon hung, literally. Like, I've hung the moon at shows before. So I geek out on that sort of stuff. That's the cool part to me, is like, wow, this is a crazy production for, But I guess I'm kind of doing the same in podcasting a little bit. Like, I'm like, God, man, I should be better at I start beating myself up. But I still listen to him. Somebody that's on my list that I haven't really listened to other than in snippets, and it was funny, I was just thinking about this morning. It's funny that you brought him up. I mean, it's one of the most popular podcasts in the world, but I haven't listened to Sean Ryan much. And I know that he's having some, like, serious, in-depth conversations.
Yes, the spectrum of guests that he has on, like, he started with a bunch of guys that were, tier 1 guys and operators and guys that he knew from the community. But the way that he just operates his show, like, it's so damn cool because you get specialists on there, and then you, again, just like looking something up on the internet, you get to learn from these specialists in this format, right? It's not 2-3 minutes on some episode of a show. It's 3, 4, 5 hours sometimes, right? Sometimes they get split up into 2 episodes. It's so long. But I think it's cool because it's the transfer of knowledge. And the more that you can actually absorb and then digest what you want to keep and what you can do with what and how that works and where that applies to your life and your career and parenting and marriage and all that kind of stuff.
It's crazy.
Like,
4 hours has changed my life before. Not, like, in a positive way, or, like, made me humble or make me have different, the conversations that I've had in here.
Damn, man.
And I'm hopeful that, like, that's what I'm hopeful, or that's what I'm trying to chase in here, is, like, those experiences, like, and, or just have a good time, like, show people it's all right to relax and, like, chill out and fucking, like, we don't have to talk about anything super rocket science, but, like, I've personally at this table has made me a better person. Like, you coming in today is making me realize, like, I'm my own worst critic, like,
I'm the president of that
fuck,
club.
I'm like, I could be in better shape and I should be because Eric's coming in today. You know what I mean? Like, that's in the back of my fucking mind, dude. Like, God, I've been slacking. You know what I mean? Or like, God, I said I was going to come see him, or we said we were going to go do this, you know? And like, just having those experiences and being able to be around the caliber of people that I am and stuff like that has made me a better person, I think.
Dude, thank you.
Yeah.
One, but two, you and Jeremy, I cannot express enough the gratitude that I have to be in this seat right now. It's funny, like I was thinking about one thing that I really wanted to bring up today, and it was just that gratitude.
Yeah,
right?
man.
We're talking about blades and episodes and different
Dude, the
people
feeling
and-
is mutual though. Like I wouldn't have a podcast if it wasn't for the people saying yes, like you and Mark and all the mutual friends that we have. Like none of this would be possible. Like nobody's going to just listen to me, but they'll listen to me talk to somebody else. You know what I mean? Like that.
But that's how it spreads. It's that wildfire effect of what Mark did.
Yeah.
Right? And he just sent it into overdrive quick.
Such a savage, dude.
He does that.
That's a real savage.
He does that. Right? God, I love that guy.
I do too, man.
Such a good dude.
He's one of those guys that when he walks out of here, I'm like, what the fuck am I need to revamp my life right now, dude. Like, or I'm ready to run through the wall, you know, I'm ready to play Kool-Aid Man or whatever I need to do, you know?
Oh, yeah. Like, yeah, I know I get to
just
spend time with
inspiring.
him. You know, I get to spend time with Mark for 2 hours every week. Sometimes, you know, he's got to leave early for an event, a fight. Like he's in Tampa right now with Dustin Jacoby.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go, Dustin.
Another human that I love, dude. Shout out to Dustin.
Oh,
man.
man.
He's such a good
Just-
dude.
Another one-off human being.
Yeah.
Right. But I get to spend time, and it seems like as of late, like we'll get done with the training session, and if I don't have anybody right behind him scheduled, like we'll just shoot the shit for 10, 15 minutes and just talk about life. And dude, that's been such a huge blessing. Because you get to spend time and you get to know people just more than like this transactional, and training shouldn't be transactional. I'm not trying to make it seem like what I do is transactional, but I really like to get to know the people or the person that's in front of me, and vice versa. Like, you know, that we should be able to really expand on our rapport, right? It shouldn't
Yeah.
just be sets and reps and weights and all that stuff. That's important, but you know,
Well, just the genuineness that's behind it, right? And behind him as a man, like he firsthand, you know, and some of the stuff that he's gone through as long as I've known him, like I knew him before the podcast started. From the archery shop, the same archery shop. I don't know if I told you that. Where I met Mark was at Bear Creek Archery.
no kidding.
Yeah, we were shooting bows, and I recognized him, and then we started shooting the shit, and I was just like, this guy's awesome. So I knew him before I started the podcast, and then when I started, I was like, yeah, I know that guy. He's definitely on the list, you know,
There you
like,
go.
so, he has changed my mind. Like, I'm not a very religious person. Like, I grew up in kind of a broken household, and my first experience with religion was not a positive one, dude. Like, not
So
because of the person. Had nothing to do with God or anything like that. But
Gotcha.
I mean, I'll just tell you, I grew up around domestic violence at a high level, and the person that was inflicting it on us was a stepdad of mine, and it wasn't so much on me, but on my mother, right? Like, who do you love more than your mother? You know, like your kids, maybe, like pretty, or in my opinion, right? Especially growing up with like a single mom. So to have him be this super, kind of, I guess, a public in the community, known as a religious guy
okay.
in the community, and then also have two sides to him, you know, very much like a groomer. Like when you're in front of people or in public, he's the nicest guy in the world, and like, but then as soon as that door shuts it's a totally different human, right?
Dr.
And I
Jekyll
think
and Mr.
that,
Hyde.
yeah, I think that we all have that a little bit, right? Like you have different guards when you go into different situations. I really don't. Like you can ask my kids, but even like if I'm around my father-in-law, he's, served in the military for like, he had a career as a colonel, dude, in the army, like fucking long career in the military, right? Like set in Washington and like, all that sort of stuff. So I'm a little bit more reserved around him, right? Like I'll still drink tequila or do whatever I want to do or have a conversation with him.
Right.
Like we're bros now, but it's not like, I'm just a little bit more reserved, right? He's my father-in-law. It's like, it's a sign of respect a little bit, right? Like I'm not going to have the same conversation with him that I'm going to have with Beto or you, right? Like
I get it.
I'm not going to be as open. So I guess there are different, but like that extreme of like faking the world and then turning around and being a hypocrite of what you do is just like, that was my first taste of real religion where I was like forced to go to church. So I kind of lost faith. And then on the other side of my family, there's a huge like Native American influence. It's one reason why I think I connect with half-face blades. Like I have a very minuscule portion of Native American in me. But I think my grandmother or my grandfather's mom was almost full-blooded, like Cherokee.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was kind of instilled, I guess, just as a culture. And my grandfather was always fascinated with it to where we would go out and arrowhead hunt as a kid. Like that's some of my fondest memories is walking around looking for rocks with this guy, just a true badass. And he's only 40 years older than me, which is crazy. Like he's still alive. So he was like my father figure
awesome.
and just like the exact opposite of that. Like just a gentleman, a true man, like built like a brick shit house, was a firefighter, just a true savage in his own right. So I had like kind of these two different things. So I had a really good example of what was right and stuff. So, but anyways, they weren't like super hyper religious. They were just kind of like nature's religion. Like let's hunt, let's go fish, let's be outside, let's go look for rocks, let's have connection to the earth. Like this came from the earth, like that sort of kind of mentality. So that was always kind of my religion. But where I was going with all this is like having a guy in like Mark and listening to his perspective on religion and faith and that sort of stuff has changed my mind a little bit. Having Beto sit across from me and tell me a story and be like, tell me that he believes in God, then, like those little things like that have changed and molded me, just hearing somebody else's perspective. And I think that that's one thing that you can get in a podcast. And the best part about listening to a podcast is it's kind of like this brain numbing thing where you don't have to interact. So you're like more relaxed. I feel like you can take it in more.
I agree.
Like when I go back and listen to a podcast that we've done, I get way more from it than actually sitting here having the conversation. A lot of times I'm like thinking out loud, you know what I mean? And that takes, yeah, I'm sure you can see the smoke like come out of the headphones, but
Yeah.
But it's just those sort of experiences, man. It's like, I think podcasting is the best thing in the world on many different levels, man.
I love it for so many things, but to piggyback on what you were talking about, like some of the people that have sat in here and had conversations with you, and they're bringing up things that I've never even had conversations with them about. And I'm like, I didn't know that about so-and-so. I didn't know that. Damn, that's really cool. So it's almost like you get to strengthen the relationship without having to be physically present in the room, because you get to learn so much more about a person and their background and why they are who they are and what milestones kind of led them to where they are now, the good and the bad, right?
It's so huge,
the example of what a man looks like and then the juxtaposed position, right, of what you should never fucking do. And it's, yeah, you get a lot of information, not just, education, but experience through these conversations or the conversations that I listen to in podcasts.
I think so too, man. And it's like the connection that you have when you come out of here, the friendship is like that much stronger because you do kind of have these like intimate moments or intimate like conversations like we're having right fucking now, dude. Like it's super cool. It's like, where else can you go we don't have this conversation when I bring Tyler down to the gym. You're working, like there's other distractions, you know, like there's all kinds of shit going on. But like to lock yourself in a dark room with lights and cameras and put on headphones so I can actually hear every little enunciation and like all that sort of stuff is just like, I'm really grateful for it, man. I guess that's where I'm getting at. I'm tooting my own horn right now, but I'm so lucky. I will argue though, there's one better way, and I figured that out in here on the last podcast that we did with Graham Dunn that I was just talking about. Like somebody that reached out that was looking for a platform to like kind of promote his book and just reached out to me. And dude, there couldn't be anybody better to reach out, man. This guy's fucking awesome. But you know, I mean, you being a veteran and then having some of the mutual friends that we have that were just absolute like savages.
Yes.
And not savages, but just like operated at a high level in our U.S. military, right?
They're savages.
Yeah.
In the most complimentary fashion of the word.
Right.
Like they get shit done. They don't take no for an answer. They learn from their mistakes. And as hard as they go in the paint when it comes to their business, they also have the biggest hearts that I've ever seen. And I think, and I could be wrong, but I think that comes from all of the dark that they've seen in life, like what humanity has to offer
100%.
in the worst case scenario. I think that opens their capacity for love up. I mean,
And to be genuine about it, right?
Yeah. Because
like when one of those savages tells you that they love you, you're like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like not in a way, but it's just like, it's something that most men would be sheltered or be scared to say.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting across from a professional, and I hate to dub them this way, but like they're basically, I don't even want to say it. I'll tell you off mic.
I know what you.
Yeah,
I know where you're going.
like they've seen so much dark and so much evil in this world, and they've taken care of it. You know, that whole protect and provide type thing. That is the truest form of it, right?
Yeah.
And I think law enforcement's up there too. You know, in that same respect, like what we ask of men and women who strap on a badge and their gun belt every day and have to get in a squad car and just solve everybody's problems with extreme amount of rules that they have to keep track of so they don't fuck up. And then the moment that some asshole goes in and shoots up a place and they handle it wrong in the 3 seconds that they have to respond to what's happening and save lives, and if they don't do it the right way, the media turns around and puts all the blame on the police because they didn't handle it right. You know what I mean? So it's like,
right.
I want to give them their light too. And I think this goes for firefighters and everybody, wildland firefighters. I think there's so many people that serve without anything without asking anything in return, just for the level or just for the true gratification of serving.
Yes.
And protecting, right? Like I think that's what I've gathered from the highest levels. But to bring it back to what I was saying, like arguing your point, or not arguing your point, but just another light that I kind of figured out in here with Graham when we were sitting down, we got on the conversation of just like how many mutual, like I'm totally butchering this right now, how many mutual friends that you and I have that we know that are absolute like savages, whether they're UFC fighters. I'm not even talking about those sort of guys or top performing athletes. I'm talking about the guys that have served as Navy SEALs or Green Berets or first responders. There's a level of respect that you have to have around them. Like I've never outright asked them like, how many people have you killed?
Yeah, that's the worst, most
You know what I
asinine.
mean? Even though I want to know
ask.
that. I want to know that, like those stories are enlightening, but it totally catches them off guard. But anyways, what I was getting at with that is in Graham's book, in a writing form, they can put all that down, convey it without having to say it. And then those demons are out of their closet and that sort of thing. And like, I think that's such a cool way to get somebody's perspective is like, if they're putting it in writing, you can really figure out a lot about a person. and
think about
writing.
the time it takes to write something
my
down
God.
and then to sit back and look at it again and either insert or change or delete or move around, whatever they need to do to get all of that out in a way, in a fashion that it makes sense.
Such a high level of respect, man. And then to turn around and read it, for an audio so my dumbass can listen to it.
I do
So
so many
cool.
audiobooks, man.
I do
That's
too.
the way that I go.
Yeah.
There's a couple things I want to, that you brought up, and if you're cool, I want to share a couple things.
100%, dude. That's why you're here, man. Say
So
whatever you want.
it's funny that you bring up the whole faith piece. I don't believe in coincidence, and my background in religion was, I was like brought up baptized Catholic. Like that's just what my parents did. We went to church, on Sunday, get dressed, don't get your clothes dirty, don't put holes in your jeans playing outside because you have to wear that every Sunday. And it was very, I'm just going to be honest. It was sit down, shut up, don't interrupt, don't be a pain in the ass. Because if you do, you're going to get your ass beat in the parking lot on the way home.
Right. Like church becomes a burden at that point, right? It's
So-
like something you don't want to do.
No, it wasn't fun. I mean, I'm talking, I'm a little kid,
Yeah,
single
yeah.
digit age, right? I don't know what's going on. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know why they're singing that way. Why is this dude in a robe? Like all these questions. It doesn't make sense. Fast forward, I'm an atheist with an asterisk. The reason why I say the asterisk part is there were these pieces along the way where instead of, and I can say this now, at the time I would just tell people, the Tooth Fairy, freaking Tony the Tiger, Jesus, God, right? All made up.
In the same department,
yeah,
right?
it's all bullshit, right? There's no way.
Right.
But I remember these components along the way of like this small injection of I'm just reminding you. And I figured out that ultimately I wasn't an atheist. I just turned my back on the whole idea of. So if it was in front of me, I would just turn around and, like a little kid, close your eyes, cover your ears. It's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, well, that doesn't make it not there. So fast forward further, and I'm going through a bunch of stuff in life, and none of it's good. And I have a fighter that I'm working with at the time, Vinny Lopez, who's a coach now for a lot of guys. And he would always come in and he would talk about his faith, and he would just talk about it. He was never pushy. He wasn't a Bible thumper. Because anybody that did that to me, I just tore them apart. I did that on base in Jacksonville, Florida, to these two guys. They straight up, like I'm watching a football game, then I'm walking back to the barracks, and on my way back, hey, can we ask you a question real quick? What's up? Do you believe that Jesus Christ? I was like, oh, fuck, here we go.
Yeah.
So we just got into this argument, and that was a hill that I was going to die on that day. And I just roasted them left, right, and center, right? And I just complete asshole about it. But it was another step of, hey, this is just a reminder. So one day, I'm going through all this stuff, and I just look up, and I'm having a conversation with nobody because nobody's physically present. And the next thing I know, I called my buddy Vinny, and it went to voicemail, which is great. And I was like, hey, just so you know, and he knew where I was at, where I stood with religion at the time. And he goes, just so you're aware, I told him, just so you're aware, I think I prayed. I'm not really sure, because I don't know if there's a protocol or not to all this.
Right.
But I was talking out loud to nothing. But it wasn't nothing. So he calls me back, and he's just, I could tell he was smiling ear to ear in a phone call kind of thing. Fast forward further. Hey, man, I think I want to come check out this whole church thing. So he's like, dude, meet me at my place. I'll drive you to the church. For as many times as you want to go, you just ride with me. I'll carpool with you. And then when you're ready, you can go on your own. So, of course, I thought the damn roof was going to collapse in. Right? I was like, everybody in here is screwed. This place is going to fall apart. That didn't happen. But what instead did happen was a cascade of events, because I don't want this to be super long-winded, because I don't want to
No, man,
turn
this is
people
cool.
off.
I'm into listening to this. Like, this is the perspective I'm talking about. Like,
It was just a cascade of events that I couldn't rationalize the way that I wanted to so bad, right? And I was like, there's something extra to this. And I became friends with Scott Nickel, who was one of the pastors at Flatirons Church.
okay.
He's since moved back to Kentucky. I keep in touch with him. I watch his services online. I watch the services online from Flatirons locally. Every now and then I'll go to the Aurora campus. One of my clients that I met through Mark Montoya is Sean Johnson. Sean's the lead pastor of Red Rocks Church here locally, right? Or down in the Denver metro area. And it's just a reminder of things, right? And a buddy of mine, and I'm going to bring this full circle, the guy that introduced me to Warrior's Choice, his name's John. And my buddy John got me connected to Warrior's Choice and how I got my service dog, my Malinois Rosie. But he also is very tied in with Christian faith. And him and I would have these in-depth conversations, and I'm just trying to learn more. And finally, one day he sent me a text. He's like, hey, what's your address? So I sent it to him, just not thinking anything of it. And he sends me the New International Version Bible, but it's a study Bible. This thing is thick. And I'm going through it, and I'm not going to lie, I use the Bible app, the audio, because I can't pronounce any of these names and places, bro.
Dude, it's so hard.
It's
That's
insane.
an incredibly hard read.
But I'm using that, and then there's notes at the bottom that explains it for my dumbass to digest. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the reasons why I have this piece on right now. It's just I'm never gonna knock on someone's door with a Bible in my hand. I'm never gonna shove it down anybody's throat, because people try to do that to me. And the more they did that, the more I just planted my feet.
That's different, man. That, to me, it's different than actual faith. I mean, even though that those people probably have faith, to me, that feels like a money grab almost. Like, it's not a money grab, but it's just like, I think the biggest takeaway that I've had in here, and I don't want to interrupt your story or change our train of thought, because I want to finish hearing this. And what religion is really based around, when you think about Jesus Christ or God, it's that whole lead by example. And I think the people that really embrace it and do it that way, Mark is one of those, man. It's like, he's a lead by example guy. Like, that's what's changed my mind much more than somebody knocking on my door and interrupting me watching football or trying to have a family moment or something.
Right.
You know,
I heard it this way from a pastor at church. He goes, it's not your job to do what I do. He's like, it's not.
right.
He's like, this is what I do. This is how I present this information to anybody that wants to listen to it. He goes, and if somebody asks you about it, he goes, you tell your story. That's it. He goes, the second you try to quote this, that, and the other, and then you're all in the weeds and you think you know, and you're not on an island, he goes, that other person's got you. Checkmate. He goes, you don't pretend to be something that you're not. He goes, just say how it is, how it's impacted your life and what it's done. The end.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, I think that a lesson applies anywhere, man.
Yes.
I think it implies in just how you treat people. Like, it doesn't even have to be a religious thing. It's just like, be genuine about your experiences and not afraid to share them. No, I think it's huge.
People can sniff bullshit quick too.
Oh,
they know when you're
so
just
easy
faking.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
There's a book called Think Again. It's a pretty dope read. You should check that out.
Okay, I'm gonna have to add that to the queue.
In it, this guy talks about when you're having a conversation with someone, and if it's not necessarily a debate, but you're trying to fill each other out, or whatever the topic is. He's like, you can either approach it like a preacher, a politician, a prosecutor, or a scientist. He goes, preachers talk to people. Prosecutors just belittle and just like dig down, right?
Did
They
you
just-
order the code red?
Yeah, they just destroy people,
Right.
He goes, what's it? The politicians just trying to get you on their. He's like, hey, just trying to recruit you to their side.
Right. And that seems so fake, dude. It's like when
But-
people are trying to impress you, like
Yeah.
that's the worst.
Yeah, but the person that can think more scientifically, right? And that's just to say that you can actually open up your thought process and go, tell me about that. Whether you think they're right or wrong, just listening to their, wherever they land on a topic, they might give you a nugget of information that you're like, oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I got to rethink what I'm thinking about.
It's so true. That's one of the biggest things I've learned in here is just to shut the fuck up and listen. And when I am saying something, to caveat, so it's very, very clear, like, I don't know much about this. I say all the time, but here's my perspective, or here's my thoughts, or this is how I feel.
That's it.
Yeah. And that goes a long ways, man. Just like not just diving in and vomiting words, right? Because
Yeah.
that's one thing I've learned in here specifically that's one of those things that's made me better in life, I think.
Know when to speak, use precision in your language,
Yeah.
and know when to shut the hell up.
Try not to curse so much. I'm dropping F-bombs talking about religion right now.
I'm trying to work on that too.
Yeah.
But fuck, it's hard.
Yeah, man. It totally is.
No, the other piece I wanted to talk about with that whole component is this warrior's choice piece, right? So we were at an event. So Anthony Longo that runs Warrior's Choice, he puts on these annual events, and this year it was a golf event to raise money for the foundation to help support veterans, right? And there was a brunch, and we had 11 Belgian Malinois at the brunch.
11 alligators.
Dude, I have, Jeremy, is there a way that I can send you this photo and you can throw this on the screen?
Yeah, send it to Bobby's.
Just airdrop it. It
Airdrop
should
it?
be,
No,
I
just
think
send it
it's
to
got
your-
my name.
Or you can send it to the Instagram.
If you're not checking out the Mountainside Podcast on YouTube, you absolutely should be. If you like the content that we create here and you want to help support the podcast, please take a moment, subscribe to us on YouTube, and hit that notification bell. Not to bring up alligators. I don't know if you listened to the last episode we did with Chris,
Yes.
where he talked about Crow biting him in the balls, dude,
Yes.
with titanium teeth. It's a good story, bro. Oh my God.
Those-
I'm glad that wasn't me.
Dude, oh, no, I am not trying to get caught in the jaws of a Malinois. So, yeah, I'll go left to right. So the dogs on the far
God,
left, that's Commish, short for commissioner. I've got Rosie, and then Cairo. The next one looking straight up at the handler is Tika.
Was Crow in this?
No,
Okay.
so Beto was in Antarctica at the time.
That the lady on the far right looks like Beto's mom.
It is.
It is?
Yeah.
No way. That's awesome. Okay.
So you have Commish, Rosie, Cairo, Tika, Trump.
Trump.
Yep.
Let's go. Let's go.
Morgan's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
And then Anthony in the background. Javelin is the next one over. The guy in the all black with his Malinois, I don't know him or the Mal.
Okay.
I just never had an opportunity to connect. Next to that is Colt. And then we have Sam, Bella Rose, and then Remy. So Remy is with Beto's mom.
Okay.
That's why she's at the event.
nice.
So these are all Warrior's Choice connected. I was talking to Longo just the other day. He's like, dude, that's a third of the Malinois.
Wow.
That's 1/3.
Dude, they are such an amazing dog. Like, I'm a huge fan of them. They're just like the colors, especially like, what's the guy in the green, like the all black dude, or when they start getting brindle a little bit, man, they're so badass.
Brindle, fawn, black, and combinations thereof. So a dog that's not in this photo is Johnny. So I'm gonna connect some dots real quick. So Beto has Crow, right? Crow and Rosie, my Malinois, are from the same litter, brother and sister. When I went to the first event that Longo put on, it was a shootout in Florida. And we brought the Mals. I actually didn't take Rosie at the time. I was just like, let me go see what this is about first. And that's the first time I actually met Beto, like in person and hung out. Dude, when I met him, he gave me a hug, like out the gate. I was like, okay, I'm not really a touchy-feely kind of person with strangers, but...
That's what I was talking about, that love, dude. I'm like,
yes, I was not ready.
Yeah.
I was like,
I don't
nice
think
to
I've
meet
ever
you.
had
I'm
a
super
grown man
stoked.
tell, yeah.
Why are you touching me? But that's where I met him. And then I also met Gio.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
I don't know if-
Rest in peace, dude.
Dude.
Like, yeah.
So
It's
Giorgio
heartbreaking.
Carrillo, former MARSOC Marine, and he had Frankie, who was a Malinois from Rosie and Crow's same litter.
Really?
Yes, but could never be, would never qualify as a service dog. He's one of those Mals that had a cleft lip.
He had like an underbite or something, right?
It was a whole like cleft
Yeah.
situation, right? So they named the dog Frankenstein for that reason, but Frankie was cool, dude. Tragic circumstances and Gio lost Frankie. Fast forward, Gio gets connected with Longo again, or stays connected with Longo, and they get him another Malinois, Johnny. Johnny was out in October to link up and mate with Rosie. Rosie is currently pregnant and in Florida right now.
No. Yo, this is why you couldn't come in on Tuesday when we were trying to set it up, right?
Yeah.
I was like...
So we're making more fun
Yeah.
missiles. So Rosie's out in Florida right now with Anthony, and she's going to go through the whole process of having the pups, and then, you know, he'll figure out from there who qualifies to be service, you know, a service dog for veterans, and then who doesn't quite make the
So
cut.
awesome, man. Dogs are so important.
Dude. So rad. And it's when we were at this event, this was just in November. Johnny came out in October. We're at the event in November. And Anthony's looking at her like, bro, she's not pregnant. We get back home like maybe a week or so later, and she starts physically changing. It's like, maybe she is. So sure enough, take her into the vet. Ultrasound confirms that she's harboring fur missiles.
Wow.
So, so there's going to be another round of
That's crazy.
service dogs that come out of this, because he's got a wait list of veterans that are looking to get connected with the dogs, and like going to these events. And I'm the anomaly in this group. Combat veterans galore, and then me. I'm a vet, but I will never claim to be a combat veteran. I served in San Diego, California, North Island, Coronado, beautiful,
Fucking love it there, dude.
beautiful area. And then I went to the flight deck on the USS Abraham Lincoln. So these guys are worried about bombs and IEDs and bullets and psychopaths. I'm worried about
What was your MOS
intakes.
in the Navy?
So
Were you working on an aircraft carrier? Or?
I worked on the flight deck.
No way.
Yeah. So
You were the
did I
guy
ever
in
tell
the
you this?
Top Gun, like doing the fucking hand signals and shit? Or?
Hell no, I was one
Okay.
of those yellow shirt dorks. Dude.
All right, yeah, let's go.
Bosun mates. No, yeah.
No, we've
I
never
won't say
really
it.
gotten into it. I think,
Seriously?
well, yeah, that was like kind of the thing today when I was telling you before we hit record. I was like, dude, I don't want to have an agenda because, like, we only have a couple hours today, and we've already burned through like an hour and a half of it. Which this is a time machine too. This is a crazy thing.
Yep.
But it's all just been like strength and conditioning heavy stuff, and I was like, I want to hang out with Eric. This is why I want to have him up. And unfortunately, we can't do 5-hour podcasts anymore like we used to be able to. You know, like we will get back to that eventually someday. But yeah. Anyways,
Jeremy, can I get your assistance on a couple things, brother?
Yeah, dude. What?
Can you look up aircraft carrier crash crane?
This sounds fun.
So yeah, look at that.
Damn, dude.
Throw up a photo of one of those, brother. Yeah. So that bad boy right there is a mobile crane. It's designed to, you can take, let's say you have a downed aircraft, right, for whatever reason, and you need to get it the hell out of the way. You can attach a sling to the aircraft at specific points, a specific sling.
Now you're talking my language, dude. This is rigging right here.
Yeah, this is rigging.
Rigging 101. Yep.
So then you use that giant hook, and then you can raise and lower that hook. You can raise and lower the boom. That 6-wheeled freaking juggernaut, when you turn it, I think it's maybe the front or the back and the middle wheels or something. Dude, it countersteers.
Oh yeah, like it'll crab crawl and stuff.
Yeah,
too?
so it's got a turntable in the center of it. So when you cut that thing hard left, you can spin that thing around.
Wow,
It's insane. Man, I wish there was.
that's like a great all-on crack, dude. Those things.
So if you look at that,
So
thing,
did you operate this thing?
Yeah, I could operate it. That wasn't my job to operate it. It was my job. So that one, yeah, pull that sucker up.
Wow.
So
What does one of those jets weigh? Is that an F-18?
That's an 18 right there.
Yeah.
That's an older 18. That's a baby. So when you look at that, that's the sling attached to it, and then you can just hook that thing up and then drive away. So let's say you have an aircraft that comes in, for whatever reason, there's a failure on the landing gear or something, we have to retrieve it, and it goes down in the landing area.
Yeah, you're screwed if you're on an aircraft carrier.
Well, yeah, if you got birds in the sky, they need to land somewhere. Let's say you're doing blue water operations. None of this is classified, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know anything classified. If you're doing blue water ops, your choices to land are the ocean or the flight deck. There's no land close enough by, and you don't have enough fuel to get there anyways. You have to come back to the deck.
Well, don't they only load them like halfway with fuel? Like maybe I'm wrong on this, so they can take off and land properly on the, like there's a science to it, to what the mission is and how much fuel they put in because of the landing,
right?
Like
implications
and
stuff.
stuff. Yeah. And the weight too, right? You're landing on something that's like, I think I heard a fighter pilot describe it one time. He's like, okay, this is how I can describe how hard it is to land one of these things is put a postage stamp in the middle of your living room floor, stand on the highest part of your couch, jump off of it and try to land your nose on that postage stamp and turn out the lights. I was like, this is an awesome analogy.
So that's a cool photo right there because that's the aircraft. That's an EA-6B Prowler. I'm going to get all nerdy.
Yeah, let's go, dude. I love this shit, man.
So on the flight deck, like that's in the LA, the landing area, where they launch off the catapult, there's, and you can kind of see it. It's kind of weird. Damn. So if you go back from the aircraft and then you got the crane and then you kind of push towards the right, you can kind of see like this white dotted line on the floor.
Yeah.
That's the line where you can stand on the deck safely for landing operations, recovery operations. They have those same lines up on the bow and you can watch birds take off and you get to sit there and watch them run up, go through their whole kind of process and checklist. Very Top Gun-esque.
Yeah.
But when you watch them take off and you're so close, dude, I had foam earplugs, I had my cranial on, and EA-6Bs, that Prowler, has fucked my hearing up.
Oh,
Straight up.
Sure.
Way worse than an F-18. F-18s are loud, don't get me wrong, but EA-6Bs, like you stand there and watch them take off. When you do, you can't close your mouth all the way. Like you can't have your teeth touching because it rattles everything. Dude, it
Let's go,
shakes.
dude.
It shakes your soul.
I love this shit so much, man. Like I'm so fortunate, man, in the career that I've had for not being military, what I've got to experience with the military and the U.S. military. And the main reason why I love Coronado so much, like not only is it a beautiful beach and setting and there's fucking just badass people running around, but it's the military presence that's there of all the aircraft going up and down the beach And then you get out to Half Face and like Miramar's right there. I got to do a USO thing at Miramar. It was like Divas do USO type thing for VH1. So that was super cool. I got to go on base there. But one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had is I was working for Red Bull at the time, and it was the Air Force's 60-year anniversary. So they were putting on air shows at all these, all the Air Force bases across the U.S.
Okay.
And Red Bull was like a main sponsor or whatever. So we would go build this Red Bull structure on the flight line for like VIPs of the military. But when we were going on, they were still active bases. So like we got to go to Luke Air Force Base, and we're trying to build this monster of this structure.
Okay.
Look up the Red Bull Energy Station. And super cool. It had hardwood floors and sound system and just like all this badass shit. But the coolest part is we were going on to those military bases while they were still active. So we were like, it was me and like 2 other civilians and our stagehands, and that was it that were allowed on the base that were just like civilians. And dude, I have a whole collection of challenge coins at home. This is just what I've gotten from like through the podcast. But the ones that I have an Air Force One challenge coin. We were on Andrews Air Force Base. But it was so cool being at Luke because they are running F-16s out of there like crazy. I don't know. I mean, this was kind of a high tempo time when we were doing it too. I think it was like 2016 or something. So I'm sure that they're training like nonstop.
Oh yeah.
But just, you couldn't even do anything. When they started with us being like on the flight line, and we had this whole briefing, like if you cross the flight line, they'll shoot you basically, like, like keep your civilian ass like off my fucking runway, like kind of conversations, right? Which was good reason.
Yep.
But we had to build this stupid thing like right on the flight line. So the when those F-16s would take off, and that's a very small aircraft, right, compared to what they have.
Comparatively speaking.
Yeah. But they would take off and you couldn't even work. You just had to stop everything and just watch, because it was so fucking cool. But you physically couldn't do anything. It was so loud and so much like vibration. It was fucking badass.
Did you guys have Hearing Pro on?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But my hearing shit. That's why I love doing the podcast with headphones, because my very first job as a kid, well, not my very first job, my first like real job where I was working like 40 hours a week was in a sawmill. Ooh. Then
Are they like the VIP?
Yeah, they're
all the different.
Yeah, they're different sizes, but it's like a mobile 2-story, just fucking badass bar, basically.
At like all the F1 events.
Yeah.
VIPs.
Yeah, those are a little bit bigger than what I was building, but similar concept. That one's 3 stories actually.
Damn.
It's crazy. But yeah, they prior to that, I was drilling rock for road construction, like hand drilling with an air hammer.
Yeah.
And
damn, dude.
So that's loud as shit, right? Your teeth, you want to talk about being yoked, dude. Like my arms have never been so big in my life as when I was doing that. Cause the hammer weighed like, or the drill weighed, the airline was like 2 inches going into it. And then I think the air hammer, the air drill was like 200 pounds.
Damn.
And then you had to connect these steels. So you would start with a 2-foot steel. So it's this high and you're fucking hanging onto this thing, like drilling holes in rock, just covered in dust.
Oh yeah.
And then once you got the 2-foot steel down far enough, you would disconnect the hammer. You had to lift the hammer off, lay it on the ground, pull the steel out, put a 4-foot one in, and then start over at 2 feet, and then 6 feet, and then 8 feet, right?
Jeez.
So the steels were, I mean, the 8-footer at least weighed 60 pounds. It was like, it was more than a 45-pound, bar, right? Oof. So I would drill, 40, 60 holes in a day, and then we'd blow it up at the end of the day. Stuff dynamite down it and fucking blow it up. It was
now we're talking.
One of the best jobs in the world. This is what my grandfather did. You know how firefighters always have like a part-time gig?
Yep.
That was his part-time gig, was blowing up shit.
Blowing shit.
Yeah, like rocks. I was like, He's a badass.
I want to play.
Yeah, it was so much fun. But then from there, I went into rock and roll. You know, I spent endless nights in nightclubs where it was way too loud, and arenas and stadiums, and yeah, my hearing's fucked.
I actually have to wear hearing aids now.
Really?
Yeah,
I probably should.
but it's situational. Like when I went and got my hearing done, they do this kind of thing, and you know, I can hear all the tones, but then they do a new part of the test where they're like, okay, you're gonna hear a conversation, and then you're gonna hear background noise, like it's a not very busy restaurant.
That's what fucks me.
And then it goes up and up and up. I got to the end, and this poor lady, like we get to the last test, and I'm closing my eyes, shaking my head. And she goes, okay, what was the sentence that you're supposed to say back to me? I said, I have no idea, because that was fucking chaos. Absolute chaos. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, we got to run one more of those. I was like, okay, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Same thing. And then I get out of the booth, and she's like, we need to talk about
It's so
hearing aids.
hard for me to have a conversation like in a bar or an airport or anything like that. I'm like reading lips. Like I catch myself all the time.
Same way. Like
Yeah.
it's to the point where, like even at home, like if I'm watching something, like I just need to turn it up a little bit just to hear what they're saying sometimes, because of all the other explosions and background noise and everything else, just on a
Right.
movie. So now I have to freaking watch everything closed caption, because if
We
I
should
turn
just
it up
strap
too loud,
these to
bro,
our chest, dude, and walk around with this shit.
save my ass. Jeremy, can I have you look up one more thing, brother?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I want to go back to, man, that's a
Did you see
cool.
those new AirPods that are dropping?
Yeah, I saw that, dude, that they got the,
I think it's kind of addressing exactly what you're talking about.
yes, they can, there's a function on there that it acts just like hearing aids.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic, and I think it'd be cool to use those in certain scenarios. But, dude, straight up, I'm not trying to have those in my ears at
Can
work.
you imagine? Yeah, no, you can't.
Because if I walked around at the gym with those, people are gonna be like, "What are you doing?
You just look like an
Are you on a
asshole.
phone call? Are you listening to music? You dick!" Like
That's the
what are you
worst
doing?
is when you try to talk to somebody
should
and
be a
they're
different
on the
color.
phone and you can't see
That-
their earbuds or something.
right?
Yeah.
That, you know,
Paint them red, and that's
yeah,
it.
do something so it can be. Yeah,
What do you need?
let's go. Flight deck. Let's just do P25.
Dude, what a cool gig though. Just being around that aircraft and stuff.
Yeah,
I
let's do
think
some images on that.
Oh, what is this thing?
That's
Oh, is
a-
that Taxi the plane or something?
Oh, that's a fire truck. So that right there, in the event you have a fire on the flight deck, on the front, it's got, like you can sit driver and passenger, and then it's got a nozzle that
I see it
forget the rate of the amount of water it can shoot out per minute per second. But dude, that essentially the entire back is full of water. There's a compartment on the side that's full of AFFF.
Like foam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it mixes at a certain point in the piping of that P25, and then you can either shoot water, you can select water or add foam. On the back, you can see where the guy's standing up, just forward of him, there's another nozzle. So if you need to hit a couple things at one time, you can do it with that truck. So that's three-person job on the truck, or on that P25. So during flight operations, there's one forward and one aft, or in the back, for you civilian types.
Right.
Yeah, dude. Look at that. Yeah, there goes your hearing.
Yeah.
We'll talk about catching cables in a second, but so with that nozzle, dude, you can just full send it. So we had to, that's interesting. They got a section where it's totally torn down. So that thing right there, that truck, that fire truck, you got one forward, one aft. You have to have two functioning P25s on that flight deck, or flat operations do not happen. The crash crane, you have to have a fully functioning crash crane operational on that flight deck, or flight operations do not happen.
No pressure.
Yeah, none. So along with like your tow bars and your tow tractors that have a turbine on the back, or turbine on the back to help run up some of the older aircraft because their APUs won't start them on their own. Like an F-18 can turn on by itself, but you take a E2 or a C2 Hawkeye, you need to hook that bad boy up to an external jet engine, a smaller jet engine, basically a turbine. You run
like
that up.
Prime it or something, huh?
Yep, it helps basically jumpstart that bad boy.
Wow.
And then you disconnect. And so I can work on, diesel engines. I can work on pneumatics, hydraulics, cryogenics. That's what I was doing. So there you go. There's the hell kind of tow tractor is that? So, but you can see like the stuff in the background, the tow tractors and all that.
Yeah.
That's all the stuff that I could work on active duty. That's tow bar that I could work on. P25 fire truck. They look like baked potatoes because they're wearing silver suits so they don't die.
God, think about how hot jet fuel burns, dude. Like, I can't imagine.
So everybody,
And then you're on a boat.
yeah, there's nowhere to go. So
Yeah.
you are the fire team, right? So they teach you all of these skills to be part of that fire team in the event that shit hits the fan. You can't call 911, right? The crash and salvage crew,
Whoa, what is going on?
we call them crash and smash. But crash and smash, those guys right there in those freaking suits, dude, if they're going, get the hell out of their way, right? So that's just a drill how they're going to line up for an aircraft. They got to pull out the net. They got to get it rigged up. So they're going to try to catch an aircraft in the landing area, and they have to stand by for whatever is going on. So I can work on that forklift because if they need to get the pilot out, they got to get to the canopy.
They're the rescue team.
They're the rescue team,
Yeah.
right? So I got along, me and my guys in our work center, we got along great with the crash and salvage guys. Purple guys, they're going to do fuel. Green, they're going to work on, what is it? The cables in the back and then the catapult in front. The guys that wear yellow, they're just directing traffic. They do more than that. They'd be pissed if that's what I said, but I didn't wear yellow.
Yeah.
And then you have other safety jobs going on up there, but everything's color coordinated. Everything has a name and an identifier of where you're supposed to be. You got your headset on, you got microphones. So when they call it like an aircraft turning, they'll call out the tail number and say aircraft spinning in the wherever that aircraft is at, because it's not being towed. Like the engines are on. So you don't want to be close to the intake. You don't want to be by the exhaust.
Oh, no shit. There's no room, man. There's like...
No. So you have to know what's moving and when and how. So the idea of keep your head on a swivel, like...
comes from...
Yeah. Super high stress scenario of knowing where things are at all time and being hyper vigilant of your environment. This entire flight deck, which is huge when there's nothing going on, but it shrinks really, really fast when there's aircraft and all the equipment upstairs and people running around. And dude, it's nuts.
Oh, I'm
Nuts.
sure.
So
What's crazy, isn't there like 6,000 people on an aircraft carrier or something like that?
about 5,000 total when you have a full air wing on board. Ship's company runs about 2,500, give or take. So, and ship's company is like everyone that's assigned to that particular ship, right? So that's
Dude,
really
how'd
the
you land
eat,
that
sleep.
gig over like being a cook or like, I mean, there's people, right, that are on that ship that are just
Yeah.
janitors. I mean,
That's
at some
everybody.
point. Right.
Everyone's a janitor. We are
Yeah.
the world's finest janitors, folks. I can sweep, mop, dust, freaking
Put out
wax.
put out an
I can wax a
F-18
floor
fire.
like no one's business.
All right.
But yeah, it's when you go through the process of selecting your job, you take the ASVAB and you aptitude test, and they lay out a bunch of options in front of you, and then they ask you of these, and you get to read full descriptions. What are you interested in? So I was working at an auto shop at the time. I like turning wrenches. I like doing that kind of stuff. I had two options, and one was for the CBs, which was a construction mechanic, and then the other one was aviation support equipment. The construction mechanic one, anybody that's a CB, like the chances of you going to a boat are slim to none, right? So I would have been working on front end loaders and just big heavy machinery that's construction based, but I never would have been on a ship. And then I looked at where the A school was, the technical school, the vocational school essentially. That was in Georgia, I believe. And then the aviation support equipment school was in Pensacola, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
going to
Georgia or Florida? So I went to Florida.
No
'cause
brainer.
I didn't know any better. And it was funny. My recruiter he had an aviation style rate, but he was also a former team guy. Well, he was a team guy. I shouldn't say former. But he had some stuff to where he couldn't actually go and do operations, but he didn't want to get out. So he went and did recruiting. So my recruiter never lied to me, not once. He never fabricated anything. Just, he could tell me what he could tell me, but some of this stuff you just have to experience, right?
Yeah.
It's just firsthand stuff. And he asked me when we were downtown at MEPS, he's like, hey, I have a question for you. He's like, it's kind of out there, but I'm going to ask it. He goes, would you be interested in special operations? And I was like what? He goes, teams. I was like, what team? Like, I had no idea what he's talking about. And he goes, the SEAL teams. And I was like, dude, look at me. And he goes, no, there's a whole group of guys like you that actually is successful in that pipeline. It's like, man, there's no way. So I had no confidence. I was just like, absolutely not. There's no way. I can't. I talked myself out of it super fast right then and there. And so it's one of my biggest regrets that I didn't try. And it's funny because now when, coming back to something we talked about earlier, when someone like your son or anybody else comes in and there's this lack of confidence in anything that they're doing, I think about that moment in my life where I said no and I talked myself out of it, to where I'm like, no, I'm going to talk you into this. And not in this, peer pressure kind of thing, right? Hey, do this, dum-dum. I want to see what happens. No, trust that I'm going to put something difficult in front of you, but that I see the potential in you to succeed in what you're doing. I literally had this conversation this morning.
That's so cool.
I said, it's so easy, and that's the key word. It's easy to talk yourself out of anything.
Oh my God.
It is extremely difficult to just reach down and grab yourself and grab your pair and fucking try.
Yeah.
So, okay, what if I don't succeed? Then we know where to adjust.
That's good that's happened to me in my life has always come through one of those moments of just saying yes or fake it till you make it or fucking whatever that cliche
Just say
shit
fuck
is.
it. Just say fuck it and try.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, but what's the worst thing that could happen? You bruise your ego? Who cares?
Right.
Make an adjustment, or like, okay, did I really truly try all the way, or did I let anxiety and fear step in front of me and stop me and preclude me from success?
It's so crazy, the military mindset of what you ask of young men and women, right? Like, you take somebody right out of high school and you're like, hey, you look like you could be a good team guy. You want to, you know what I mean? Like, that's just mind blowing to me a little bit. I think it's cool too in its own right, right?
Yeah. And
you're literally forging men and women, dude.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I bring up that scenario when I was going through the recruiting process, not to be like, oh man, I almost became a SEAL. No, there's so many douchebags out there with stolen valor that are like, oh yeah, that was a medical thing.
Well, I found very quickly too, this is no knock on anybody, but there's one thing that I never realized until hanging out with some guys is like, there's even levels to special operations too, right? Like,
oh yeah,
there's guys that did make it through selection or whatever. And there's levels to everything in life.
Everything, dude.
There's levels to podcasting. I'm definitely at the lower end of that. You know what I mean? Like,
I
got a lot to learn, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, so who doesn't?
Right.
When do you stop learning?
Never.
Right.
Yeah.
In theory, right? We shouldn't be.
Or that's the mindset you should have. You should never. I think being your own worst critic is okay sometimes. I think it's also okay to sit back and appreciate maybe what you've done, but don't like celebrate it.
No.
Don't fucking glorify it. Like, I think that, that sense of being humble and just being a student you'll gain so much more in life and so many more experiences.
There should be a healthy level of curiosity and a healthy level of skepticism.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Ask why. Like multiple times, ask why. Just for your own benefit of, why do I do this? Why do I do that? Why have I been doing that? There's the telephone game in like strength and conditioning of, this is how you squat. This is how it's done. Why? Well, what about this part of my body? Well, what about weight distribution? What about bar placement? What about bracing? What about timing? What about... There's so much that goes into human movement that I think that it's worthwhile to look at it segmentally and go, what about this part of the body? What about that part of the body? What about? And it, not to be the pain in the ass in the room, right? That's constantly that you're raising your hand just to be smarter than the teacher. But it's like, no, I'm just curious why. Why is it so important to look at foot placement, neutral or externally rotated? Why, when I drop into my squat, do I not want to excessively sit back on my heels or excessively go onto my toes or pronate, supinate, weight shift, drop the hips down and I start to go into corkscrew? Like, why does it matter where my eyeballs are looking relative to my head and my cervical spine and my lumbar spine and my pelvic position? Here's why it matters. And people in human performance of any position, whether you're in the private sector, the team setting at the highest levels of, NFL, NCAA, NBA, MLB, MLS, whatever, to personal training, like, you should understand what it is that you're trying to ask somebody to perform physically and what the demands are of that individual and what that requires of them to be able to synchronize all of these steps and get into and out of positions safely and effectively.
It's so crazy what you guys do at Landow. It's mind-blowing to me. It is like mad science, dude. Like, like, I think, to take it back to bringing Tyler in, because I haven't experienced it firsthand other than that, but like, I think the first 4 or 5 sessions we did with you was just all on foot placement. I don't think Tyler really ran at all. It was just start. It was the start.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
how do you
standard
line up
2-point acceleration, where I need your feet to be, the direction, the placement, the weight distribution, the arms, and the setup. And it wasn't all at once. I didn't just pour everything over his head at once. I said, hey, do me a favor. Get set up and then go. Okay, when you come back, hey, do this for me now. Go. Okay, try this now. Go. You're doing everything I'm asking you to do. I need you to do one more thing for me. Go. And I've learned that the further I get in my career, the less I'm trying to say and the more precise with my language I'm trying to be to get something specific out of that athlete, right? You can come in like with Tyler. You can watch him run and go, well, that didn't, that looked okay. Well, I'm looking at it going, he did something very specific with his foot placement and the coordination of how he's actually getting off in his start that I needed him to think about his feet. Everything else, it was kind of, it was okay.
Right.
But we'll get there. I don't need somebody to, I kind of joke. It's like rub your belly, pat your head, alternating, blinking your eyes, hop on one foot, go counterclockwise, and give me every other letter going backwards in the alphabet, starting from Q. Go.
Screwed.
That's over, dude. That's over coaching right there.
Right.
Rub your belly. Okay, sweet. Slow it down. I want this circle to be this big. Let go of that. Pat your head. Okay. Rub your belly. Just put your hand on your head, and while you rub your belly. Now rub your belly and pat your head. It's step by step, and you have to know what to say, when to say it, and when to just let them go. Like, the more you when it comes to sprint mechanics, man, let them move. Yes, there's things that you need to address, for sure. Even the highest level athletes, there's things that you need to address. So it's not really
that philosophy, because one of the philosophies out there is that you'll pick up bad habits if you keep doing the wrong thing. I agree.
Okay, let's break that.
Yeah.
Let's crack that nut a little bit. So, said principle, specific adaptation to impose demands. In short, whatever you do, your nervous system is going to auto-save, and that's how your nervous system is going to wire that circuit.
So it becomes a motor skill then, kind of,
yes.
right? Yeah.
That's the level of motor skill acquisition, right? How we learn to do something. Here's the nice part. Am I going to expect a kid who's never done the technical model of sprinting to reproduce the technical model of sprinting in all aspects in 1 hour? Absolutely not.
There's no way.
That's like asking somebody who's never picked up a guitar but likes music to play Stairway to Heaven.
Right. Shred it.
Yeah. I showed you once, go. That's not going to happen.
Right. And there's so many coaches out there that do that.
So you have to learn, like read the room, understand their chronological age, their biological age, and their training age, because it's not all the same thing, right? Your chronological age, what your date is on your birth certificate, you're this many years old. Your biological age, right? People hit puberty at different times and growth spurts and maturation.
Yeah.
And then training age. You think about it in terms of jiu-jitsu. White belt, blue belt, purple belt, right? What level of training have you achieved to be able to reproduce these things that I'm asking you to do from simple to complex? So, yeah, when you're asking somebody to move in a certain way and learn something, are they going to reproduce perfection right away? And the answer is no. They have to learn this stuff over time, right? It's why you learn addition and subtraction, multiplication and division before you learn trig.
Right.
Right? There's a progression and a process to this. So when we do that, they're not spending hopefully not enough time with crappy habits, because they're learning how to take these chunks and put them all together to reproduce what it's expected of them at some point down the road as they achieve greater training age. That's what I'm looking for.
I got a question for you that I've always wanted to ask you. Is this all stuff that you learned with on-the-job experience and having like mentors like Lauren around you? Or is this stuff that they teach you like in college? Or is it like wherever you went to school for strength and conditioning? Is it like where?
All of the above.
Yeah.
So in the collegiate setting, in getting my undergrad, they lay down a lot of principles and foundational work and information that you need to know. That's the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of exercise science right there. Are you really ready to be a coach or be a trainer or be a fill in the blank? No, you're at the starting line, right? When I went and did my internship with Lauren, I learned a ton of information. So much so that I just was struggling to retain it all because it was a lot. It was very in depth. But over time, you make a bunch of mistakes, you learn from your mistakes, and you course correct. Actually, Jeremy, I'm going to have you pull up one more thing, brother.
Yeah.
Can you pull up an image on the Dunning-Kruger effect?
That's funny. Graham just brought this up in our podcast.
Okay.
We didn't look at it scientifically, but
So you know nothing about nothing, and then you know that you know nothing about nothing. And then you learn some information, you know a little bit about something, and you think you're the shit.
right.
That's where your confidence just soars, right? But if you look at knowledge, and if you put time underneath there instead of knowledge, and you can chop this up a bunch of different ways, but the idea is the more time and knowledge that you gain over time, you'll realize how much you don't know, how your confidence drops because you're starting to make a bunch of mistakes, and you're going, well, how come this thing that I thought that worked for everybody all the time in every scenario doesn't fit for everyone all the time in every scenario?
And it seems like almost, if you talk to any pro athlete, this is their struggle, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So then you start to truly learn. And I like that there's knowledge up there, because you actually retain information and knowledge. And as you grow in your knowledge, you understand and you will be humbled, and you'll start to go, okay, I made a bunch of mistakes. This is where I need to fix that. And then you can start to kind of trend towards that expert level. I am not there. I'm trending that direction, because that's what I want to be over time. But I figured out that I don't know what I don't know, and I'm okay telling somebody, yeah, that's outside of my wheelhouse. That's outside of my lane. I'm way over my skis on this at this point. I need to send you to somebody else who's more knowledgeable, right? Because I'll get hit up with questions that are really for a physical therapist or an orthopedic to answer those questions. And I'll tell people, I don't even want to touch that question, right? Because I got to be very careful with what I say. Now, I'll let them know what I know. Here's what I understand about this and the human body and how this works for context and information. But that is not a diagnosis. I am not trying here to fix you.
Right.
I am not your physical therapist, no matter what you think. But I understand. I have an understanding, but a limited understanding of the capabilities and capacities of human performance as it relates back to how the central nervous system interacts with this muscular system and how that interacts with a bunch of other systems for us to do this thing called human performance. So it's my job to extrapolate what works best for the individual at that time that's in front of me so we can look at
Whether
the big
they're
picture.
injured or not, or
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Injured or not. So you look at mechanism of injury and what that does and the joint and the surrounding structures and what could be impacted and how those things help locomotion and movement and what they're able to do and not do at that time and how
need to
you
come
can
see
load
you.
and not load and what are the stages of development in terms of how we get back to where we need to be. And when I'm outside of my wheelhouse and say, hey, I need you to go see somebody else. You need a different specialist for this. And then that specialist and I need to communicate. So I'm doing what I can do to benefit you, and so are they. And once you no longer need that specialty thing and we can kind of ramp up our training, what we need to do, let's go do it. But understanding who's in front of you and what their capabilities and capacities are at that time and what we're looking for from a future perspective of that athlete. I tell my people all the time now, like what we're doing right now in training is betting on your future self. Like this, you lifting is
an
not for you
investment,
right
right?
now.
Yeah.
It's you're depositing into the bank. So when you go to return, when you look at your ROI for performance, you have something to pull from.
Right.
I can't. That's training.
anything
That's human
physical,
performance,
man.
dude.
Yeah. That's crazy. I want to ask you something else too, real quick while I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Then we actually got to wrap this thing up here pretty quick. Dude, I got to have you back more often. This was freaking awesome today. I feel like we barely are diving into it, dude. We could easily go 7 hours if we wanted to.
Probably.
Just because I'm dealing with some shoulder stuff and I'm going to physical therapy, I'm trying to I'm the guy that avoids surgery at all costs, right? Like I'm this close to going to TJ.
Stem cells.
Yeah. You dealing with the level of athletes that you do and, these guys are performing at such high levels that, they deal with a lot of injuries. And I'm sure that you're still seeing them at that same sort of time. What's kind of your take on like peptides and or stem cells with guys that you've seen firsthand take them? Because I'm like kind of on the fence on this, but I'm curious about it. Like, I don't know, I know it's a very popular thing right now, especially with, podcasters talking about it and that sort of thing. But what's kind of your take? Because I feel like you're seeing top tier guys that are performing at certain levels, and I want to mirror that as much as possible.
So on the subject of peptides specifically, one, I would say if you're dealing with any kind of injury, talk to a specialist. If you need to get imaging done, whether it's an x-ray, an MRI, some sort of scan to determine objectively what is going on, do so.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't just start doing a bunch of research on my shoulder hurts and it could be this and it could be that. Understand what's actually going on under the surface before you start running to Dr. Google.
Right.
Because everyone thinks that if it's shoulder related, I must have torn my rotator cuff. Okay, if you can tell me the 4 muscles that make up the rotator cuff, I'll keep talking to you about this. Right. If you can't, then you don't know what the rotator cuff is or does. But you have to understand the mechanism of injury and what your current state is relative to that injury. So things like peptides, the popularity of peptides is the anti-inflammatory process, the healing process, the recovery process that these compounds hold. Now, I will say this. It is not my job to decide who should and who should not be utilizing peptides. That's for a physician who's qualified to determine that.
Or USADA or whoever the governing body of the sports organization.
If you're a competitor of some sort, don't just run out and start buying stuff and injecting shit. And then the next thing you know, you're
Half the
taking a test.
fighters
and
I
getting
know
popped.
can't even go to GNC and buy supplements because they don't know if it's not clean enough or what, you know?
Dude,
It's like,
yeah, the way that things are formulated and what's actually certified and tested and what's safe and what's not safe. Did you walk into, and I'm not throwing GNC under the bus specifically.
yeah, I
but
didn't mean to pick them out. There's
no,
a ton
but
of supplement
any kind of
companies out
supplement
there.
company, you walk in there and there's like 30 different brands of protein powder. It's like, what the shit is this? Like, why is this one's enriched with this and enhanced with that? It's like, I just want some
And the
daggone
flavors
whey
are
protein.
crazy too now.
Dude.
It's like, yeah.
So I would be very, very careful. I have my go-tos when it comes to supplementation, but when it comes to peptides, there's qualified physicians that you should have a conversation with and say, here's what I have going on. Here's what's bugging me. What are your thoughts on that? And that's a question I'm over my skis on. Honestly, it's not my wheelhouse. I need to understand it and the mechanism of what it's trying to achieve.
Sure.
But I'm not here to tell somebody,
No,
oh yeah,
I was
bro,
kind of
peptides.
I wasn't looking for like you to diagnose it or be a proponent of it or not. I was just wondering, with the vast amount of people that you see on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, how many guys have taken them and had success and speak highly of them, I guess is.
Gotcha. Well, I will say
I don't know
this,
if you can speak on that, but
the few that I do know that have actually said something to me, right? Anecdotally, they're finding success with it. I don't know enough about the mechanism of how it all works. I'm still kind of doing my research and trying to understand all this stuff. There's actually a really great podcast on the Huberman Lab about peptides.
okay.
That's a great place to start.
Yeah, that's a fucking great. I should definitely go listen to that.
So
That and stem cells, I'm curious about.
there's
Because everybody, it's that whole snake oil thing. Like, you never go and purchase the infomercial thing that will change your cooking or your change. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all kind of bullshit to me a little bit.
Yeah,
So
there's
like,
so much
I don't
out there.
know.
Like, what's the latest and greatest fad? And I mean, you look at, just to say this, you look at GLP-1s and people that are taking things like Ozempic to lose weight.
You're right.
It's supposed to be something that controls your A1C, your blood sugar levels. And as a side effect, you can lose weight, which is fantastic. But if you're not resistance training with that, what's the composition of weight that you're actually losing? Because it might be detrimental because you're losing skeletal muscle.
Right.
That's not good. So
Yeah, just because stepping on the scale doesn't, it means a lot, but it doesn't mean shit
it doesn't give you
compared to like
composition.
bone mass, composition, muscle mass.
100 pounds of bricks and 100 pounds of feathers. It's still 100 pounds.
Right.
Composition's not the same. You have to understand what it is that you're looking at. And I like this scale as a measure for certain things, especially weight class sports. But
Right.
you got to know what it is you're looking at. Like, how much do I weigh against the surface of the earth?
Right.
What's gravity? What does gravity say that I weigh? Okay, there's your scale. How do your clothes fit? There's an objective measure. There's
a huge thing. Yeah.
There's an anecdotal piece, right? How do you feel? How are you sleeping? How are you performing at your job? What's your cognitive function? Do you feel like you're in a fog? Do you feel like you can't, like, aches and pains and this and that? And okay.
Dude, you're describing my day. I'm just joking.
But the more information you can
Oh, yeah.
give a professional, and they can sit there and say, okay, I can help with these things, but these things are for this person to have a conversation with you, or you need to go see this specialist. Like, you can refer out to individuals that can help, but the idea is to enhance human performance, right? Whether it's a shoulder injury or you're looking at getting somebody
I
drafted
think
in the
that's
NFL
what
with the combine
everybody
process.
wants, though, right? In the end, that and to look good. But
Yeah.
like,
For sure.
I would bet a lot of it is based on looks, right? It's kind of the first thing. Like, I want to look like a Greek god. Who
If
the
people
fuck
were
doesn't?
honest, yeah. It's like, I want to look good with my shirt off. Yeah,
Right.
you and everybody else.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, if you really, the main reason I do any sort of cross training or anything like that is just one, for like an endorphin dump and like a feeling, right? Like, if I didn't go to the gym today before this podcast, I would not be happy sitting here. Like, so I look at it that way. And then also what I'm doing outside of that, like, I don't want to be huffing and puffing going up a mountain during elk hunting season. Like,
Nope.
that's the last thing I want to do is be so tired I can't perform.
And that's just it. What is it that you're trying to, everybody talks about goals, and we look at athletes and I want to win state. I want to win this championship, that I want to get drafted to. Okay. Everyone's trying to perform at something, right? Shit, even if it is something that's just vanity based. Hey, I'm going to this event in 6 months and I want to freaking drop everyone's jaw in the room. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for just saying that. We could work with that, right? Just tell me what it is that we're trying to achieve, because I'm results based, and if I'm not giving you what you're trying to achieve, we have a problem. If you want to get faster and I'm making you slower, if you want to get stronger and I'm creating more endurance in you than strength, if we're not on the same page,
back
that's
to
a
the mad
massive
scientist.
problem.
Yeah.
That's a massive problem. What are you trying to achieve? And if you can only tell me so much, that's fine. I understand, and performance coaches at LP understand, okay, how can we get there? So I need to work on stability and then strength and muscular endurance to help at some point down the road turn that into strength speed and speed strength, to work on explosive components of the start and this and that, and swinging a baseball bat or a punch or kicking a soccer ball as freaking far as I can. What are you trying to achieve? Or I need to go elk hunting and I'm going to be up in the mountains and I don't want to be huffing and puffing. Brad Nicolaarson, that I'm trying to get you guys connected to come in here.
Okay.
Dude, he trains.
Oh
like
yeah,
a
I've talked to
madman.
Brad, man. I've been really bad about reaching back out to people, you included, man. It's been insane.
You're
lately,
good.
But yeah, no, I do need to connect with Brad. So Brad, if you're listening to this,
But he's
hit
a
me up.
guy that he trains like a madman.
Yeah.
And he went on these insane hunts and he's like, man, my body really held up. And I'm like, yeah, because
You put in the work,
you
right?
put in the work. And
Yeah.
then when you needed to go withdrawal from all the deposits, they were there. You had sufficient funds, basically.
Yeah. I just went on another bison experiment with Donnie. Dust. I don't know. Have I told you about those?
No.
Oh, dude, it's a 2-hour long story. But basically, field dressing and boning out a bison using nothing but stone tools. Pretty wild. Like some of these tools that are on the table were used.
No shit.
But I knew I'd done one previously with him. So I knew going into this one when I had a much more time frame to kind of do some cross training for it.
Okay.
And I just knew, like, I'm going to be bent over for hours. I have to utilize my hands, grip strength, that sort of thing. So like mobility and that. But man, the world of difference of me just passing a kettlebell in between my legs for 100 reps, 10 times a day. You know, that's 1,000 reps when you get down to it. But like, start adding
time.
weight. Yeah.
Put in the time.
I did pretty good this time.
Make your reps matter. Make every part of every rep matter. It's all important. Everything matters. You want to be consistently accurate. I'm going to steal a phrase from a buddy up in New York, Greg Walsh. He said, consistently accurate movement patterns. He's like, that's what we're chasing down. Consistently accurate, right? Lauren talks about it up at Notre Dame with his athletes. Do it right so many times, you can't do it wrong. To the point that the adaptation on the body, which is just an organism, can have the net positive effects. So when it's time to perform, you have that recall and you have somewhere to draw off of to be successful. My conditioning was on point. My cardio held up. My strength held up. I didn't burn out in my grips. I was able to pitch more innings. I was able to perform it at a higher level for longer. I was able to go to a jiu-jitsu tournament and I had multiple matches and I still held it where I usually burn out and fall apart. I didn't. I was more flexible. I had better range of motion. I had better strength endurance. My explosion was there when I needed it in the third round of a fight. Fill in the blank. Like you understand the sport, the demands of the sport from some multiple aspects. And you're on the right path to understanding the direction that training needs to go, whatever they're training for, whether it's
So it's almost like
competition or
having
hunting.
an athletic goal in mind, right? Like that's the only way that I can train is if I have a purpose.
So
Yeah.
I'll ask you this real quick, because I've heard this, and it's hunting is, the stalking, the walking, the mileage, the up and down, all of the physical components, like to getting into an area and out of an area and carrying out something with you, hopefully, right? the hunt is not the same as the kill, right? The kill is a moment. The hunt is all of the physical demands that get you to that moment. And if you're successful with what you're trying to achieve, right? And then packing out something extra.
That's when the work begins, dude. It's
Right?
like, yeah.
So if you're not training for that, how are you supposed to just go out and try it? And,
Yeah, there's
and
a lot of
believe that
guys.
your body is going to hold up and you're going to be successful. Because when fatigue sets in, if it sets in, if you're not training isn't there, then your coordination and how you get things done
Oh, it can be
falls
dangerous,
apart,
man.
Yeah, and then you're screwed.
Yeah.
And if you're in the wilderness,
Yeah.
well, how are you
There's
gonna call
nobody
for
coming
help?
to rescue
Yeah,
you.
who's going to
know?
help you?
Yeah.
So do it on the front end, prepare, and then when you go to do the thing, you'll know that if your preparation was sufficient or not.
It's never enough. I can tell you that. Unless you're Cameron Haynes, maybe it's enough at that point. But like,
That's a 1% of the 1%.
right.
You know, there's always a
But
novice out there.
there's never enough you can do before you go in there. And I bet you if Cam was sitting here right now, if you
probably say
asked
the
him if
same
you
thing.
trained enough, he'd probably tell you no.
No,
Yeah.
but it's going back to how we opened this, right?
Yeah. And the Dunning-Kruger, right?
You're going
It's
to be,
like that
you're gonna be
whole
super
thing, like
self-critical
knowing
of
where
what you
you're
did,
at.
and I
Yeah.
didn't do this, and I didn't do that. Yeah, you're going to nitpick what you didn't do.
Yeah.
Right? That's
That's
what
awesome.
we do as humans.
Man, it's freaking awesome what you guys do at Landow. Do you want to give them any shout outs before we jump off here? We got to wrap this up.
Man,
bro.
absolutely. First and foremost, all the love to Lauren Landow, who's the guy that developed this whole process and this
Such a nice guy too, man. He's awesome.
list of coaches at Landow Performance. All the coaches at the facility. We have an array of experience. We have certain niches that we work on, whether it's golf, baseball, basketball, soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, you name it. We see it and we work with it. Don't go to the website or the social media stuff and think that we are an exclusive facility for professional athletes only. We are not. We see everybody, all walks of life, all ages, all abilities. We see people that come in braces, in casts, in crutches sometimes. Holy smokes. We see it all. So don't think that
That's awesome.
that if you're sitting there listening to this going, I probably shouldn't go there because I'm not the caliber of, come in. Call us. Come in, see what we're about, have a conversation with a coach. Find out. You don't know what you don't know until you start asking questions, right? I had a guy do that recently. Well, am I the kind of, I went to your website, am I the kind of caliber of, yeah, you are. Well, I don't have a jersey and that's okay. Like, come in and train, see what we're about, see what we can do to help you out, and what we can offer you from what you're trying to achieve in your athletic endeavor, in your performance endeavor. That's what we do, man. And we have the technology to do it, whether it's force plates to measure power output, whether it's the Proteus that we talked about last time when it
so
comes
cool.
to rotational forces and measuring that, whether it's a gym aware
Didn't
to measure bar
Sornex just
speed.
come out with something that's similar to not the Proteus machine? Like the Proteus machine
No.
is on a whole
Yeah,
other level, but
I'm going to butcher the name, but it's like this push-pull rotational thing that they just talked about. Bert Soren is the most recent guest on Rogan's podcast.
oh, he is. Okay.
Yep. And he was talking about Lauren specifically and Landow Performance about punching power and measuring
Oh,
with
cool.
force plates and using the Proteus and looking at different measurements from speed strength and strength speed with the GymAware to actually measure velocity on the bar and how that all correlates back to improvements in punching power. So we can keep it as simple or as complex as we need to relative to who's in front of us and what they're looking to achieve, right?
That's awesome.
Sometimes it's just a daggone kettlebell, and other times it's a Proteus.
That's so cool, man. Yeah, I always enjoy having you in here, Eric, man. Thank you so much for your service and more importantly, our friendship, man. I mean, it's both important, but like, I really value your friendship, man. Like,
Me too.
you
brother, me
always,
too.
you've inspired me to come in and see you after having this conversation. I feel like a real piece of crap walking out of here today, but
No.
like, I could be doing better, but I love having you around, man. So you're welcome here anytime. Let's get you back more than once a year, dude. Like, you
Yes,
could come
let's
up
do that.
anytime. I know you're busy, so I don't expect it either.
Well-
And dude, thank you for your time and your family's time. Thank them for letting you come hang out today, dude. I know you
same
did it
to
on your
you.
free time. So
You Jeremy, everybody that works on your staff. You guys taking time out of your day to come allow me to do this on a Saturday.
I've been hounding the shit out of you, dude.
I know you have. Keep fucking doing it, bro. Let's do this more often. Let's go shoot.
Yeah, all the above, dude.
Let's just
hang out.
grab a
Podcast
bite,
or not,
shoot the
whatever.
shit,
Yeah.
whatever, bro.
Awesome.
No, I am extremely humbled to be able to come and sit in this seat that other people that are way cooler and
Oh, stop it, man.
way more
Stop
important
it.
than me that get to sit here and talk to you guys. So thank you so much. The people on the wait list to try to get in here. Sorry, I took your slot.
No, dude, you're
to-
definitely high on the list. So like, don't discredit yourself, man. Like, you're just as savage as anybody I've had in. So, I love having you guys in, all of you.
I'm super grateful, man. I'm super grateful to my mentors, my predecessors, my clients, the families of my clientele, my family, everybody at Warrior's Choice, the veteran community. I'm beyond blessed, and I literally do thank God on a consistent basis for all the blessings that I have that I don't deserve, and for the things that He has put into my life that I have yet to recognize, because I feel like I'm just being peppered, and at some point I'm going to be aware of certain things. Just like I said earlier, I kind of turned my back on the whole faith thing, and once I kind of came and course corrected, I was like, got it. I see it more clearly. I understand the influence. I understand the impact and how this all works and where this fits and where my shortcomings are, but I'm trying to do better, and I'm never going to be perfect, and I have my broken components, but I'm still here. That'll be a whole different conversation.
Yeah, dude.
But I'm still here, and I'm still trying to achieve a lot, and I'm trying to do better and right by my wife, my son, my coworkers, my clients. Like I feel like I have more to give, and I need to expand on that potential. Just like I try to draw out the potential in my clients, I need to spend a little bit more time on me, because I get caught in everybody else, and I'm dead last for me. So I need to try to just shift some of that so I can be a better version of myself for everybody who's in front of me.
I get it, dude. I get the same feeling, man. Man, I really appreciate this time.
Love you, bro.
dude. Love you too, man.
Jeremy,
like,
love
this
you
has
too,
been
brother.
awesome, man.
brother.
It's been great to spend some time with you today. It's been too long, so yeah, we'll definitely hang out. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks for the amazing year. You're one of the last episodes of the year, so let's fucking
Sweet.
go. 2025. America's back, baby.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right. Let's go. Jeremy, thanks for being here. Take us away. Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. If you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com.